Good evening, everyone. Wekiva High School welcomes you to Mustang Field for the first home game of Season 17. Please welcome our guests for Week 4 from West Orange High School. They are the Warriors. And they'll be taking on your Wekiva High School Mustangs. Before we begin our game this evening, we invite you to please stand and remove your hats as we honor America with a presentation of colors by the Wekiva High School Air Force Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps. Tonight's detail is under the command of Cadet Major Prince Rodriguez, carrying the U.S. flag. Carrying the Air Force flag is Cadet Major Diego Hernandez. Carrying the Florida State flag is Cadet First Lieutenant Hector Ortiz Rivera. And carrying the POW-MIA flag is Cadet Second Lieutenant Trinity Eckert. The Rifle Guards are Cadets Lieutenant Colonel Jeremiah Subs, First Lieutenant Sarah Lefkowitz, Second Lieutenant Dixie Kepler, and Senior Airman Jerome Fenley. And now, please remain standing for the playing of our national anthem performed by the Pride of Wekiva, your Mustang Marching Band. Our thanks to the Mustang Marching Band and the Air Force JROTC for participating in this evening's pregame festivities. And we appreciate your patience as we get ready to start tonight's game. We are, of course, about an hour past scheduled kickoff. Welcome to Mustang Field. My name is Mark Barchi, voice of the Mustangs, and I'll be joined tonight by Neil Fisher from the Apopka Chief, as we have been these last 17 years and these last several years here on YouTube Live as well as the NFHS network. So, Neil, this is the first opportunity that we've had to see Wekiva play at home so far this year. We have had a few opportunities to get a read on them on the field. Obviously, last season, certainly not a bust. It was a moderately successful season, but Wekiva still feels that they left something on the table that they need to pick up this year.
Yes, Mark, that is correct. Of course, Wekiva was 5-5. They are off to a 1-2 start this season, as is West Orange, but they have once again taken on a schedule that's among the top 20 in the state. That's not just Class 6A. That's all classes, all state. Of course, they're going to be coming in tonight. The biggest question is quarterback Tyree Davis. If you've been following Wekiva, you know he was a freshman On the freshman and JV team, he was a part-time starter on the senior. Last year was really a breakthrough season for him. He made tremendous progress, and this was supposed to be his season. He was injured in the second game against the Coe and was unable. That game, the first of Wekiva's 2 losses. In his defense, he threw 3 interceptions, but in his defense, again, it was a leg injury. It's very hard to throw. Anybody knows this. You can't really plant when your leg is injured. And last week he was unable to go. Enrique Archie took his place, had a solid game. We'll get more into that as the game progresses. But he is back in the starting lineup tonight. How long he goes, we'll just have to wait and see.
As our officials take midfield with the team captains for the coin toss, we'll take this opportunity to thank the officials for tonight's game from the Central Florida Officials Association here in Orlando. The referee is Kerry Jackson, umpire Kevin Wright, linesman Mike Rummel, line judge Tim Swanigan, back judge Vincent Swanigan, and clock operator Julius Walker. We thank them for their dedicated service to our high school athletic programs and join them, along with our participating schools, reminding everyone to make great sportsmanship a part of this and every athletic competition. We also want to remind those of you who are here in the stadium that we are going to be live streaming tonight's game. In fact, we've already started doing just that. It is on simulcast in 2 places. We have it on NFHS Network. That's nfhsnetwork.com or the NFHS Network app on your favorite mobile device. And we are also streaming it live on YouTube. So that's youtube.com/Wekiva Sports, or search for the Wekiva Sports app, or search for the Wekiva Sports channel on the YouTube app with your favorite computer, smart TV, or mobile device. Wekiva has won the toss and elected to receive in the first half, so they will have the opening possession of Week 4 here at Mustang Field.
Okay, Mark, so as we mentioned, both these teams are 1-2. They are still ranked in the Orlando Sentinel Super 16. Despite those 1-2 records, because of the strength of schedule, West Orange, both these teams won their first game and then lost the last 2. West Orange beating Oak Ridge by 41-6 score in that opener. They then fell to Apopka 14-7. That winning touchdown being scored in the closing minutes with under 4 minutes remaining, and then losing the big game to Edgewater, who, by the way, is now number 1 in the Super Sentinel 16. Wekiva came in, beat Olympia in their opener. They trailed 13-3 at halftime, and once again, Tyree Davis leading the Mustangs on 3 consecutive touchdown drives, taking the lead, and they wound up holding on for a 24-20 lead. They then have lost to Ocoee and Lake Minneola last week. Once again, the story of Wekiva's season so far has been the injury to Tyree Davis. He suffered that against Ocoee. The very first possession, he played the game, but obviously you could tell that he was not quite right, having trouble throwing the ball. And, of course, Davis, a dual-threat quarterback, it also limits your options, makes the defense a lot easier to be able to figure out what's going on when you can only pass instead of running. They then lost last week to Lake Minneola, a 34-21 loss. The biggest problem unlike the game against Ocoee where they turned the ball over 6 times, and they also had 3 fumbles, which they did not lose. They only had 2 last weeks and no fumbles that were recovered. But the defense, again, giving up 34 points, very inconsistent, and as Jeremiah Schwartz's words, the coach. And we are ready to go. First game of the season for the Wekiva Mustangs at home. Warriors kick it off, and Wekiva will take it at about the 5-yard line. Some weaving and some woving, and a nice kick return coverage by the Warriors. Wekiva will take over 1st and 10. Around their own 10-yard line.
Mustangs will start at about their own 10 after the return. Wekiva takes over at the 15-yard line, 1st and 10 Wekiva.
So again, the big story, and I know this is the 3rd time I've mentioned it, but it's a story that you just can't mention enough. As Wekiva goes, Davis goes, Wekiva will go, and we'll see how much he's recovered. Wekiva in their traditional one-back set. Twin receivers at the top. Single down low, one-back set. Out of the shotgun, handoff right away. I believe that's Phileas. He powers ahead. He'll gain about 4 yards on the first play from scrimmage. So, yes, that's actually I believe that's 4 yards on that first play. Motion. That's Gay in motion. He'll line up in the backfield as Wekiva looks at 2nd and 6 from the 19. Davis looks left, looks right, throws it back. Jabari Smith, the two-way player, he's also a defensive back. He'll gain Wekiva's first down. Nice execution by Wekiva as they now look at 1st and 10. From their own 34-yard line, so a 15-yard gain. Once again, thank you for joining us on this Thursday night from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, home of the Wekiva Mustangs. Just underway, about to snap the fourth play. Wekiva with possession. One back set. Davis calls. And Wekiva continues on the air. That's Gay. He snags that ball out. Nice gain on first down. Sets up 2nd and mid-range.
That's a pickup of 7. Brings up 2nd and 3 for Wekiva.
Wekiva operating from their 38-yard line. And if you heard, that was my partner, Mark Barchi. He's also the the public address announcer at Wekiva. 2nd and 7 for 2nd and 3 for Wekiva. Another pass, same play. And this time Smith unable to haul that pass in. So that'll bring up 3rd and 3 for Wekiva, the first third down of this critical game. A pair of 1 and 2 teams. But both those teams taking on very difficult schedules, among the top 20 in the entire state. That's nothing new for both West Orange and Wekiva. Wekiva with possession. They're in their traditional home jerseys, the maroon numbers, or maroon background with the gold numbers. West Orange with the blue background, the white numbers, orange helmets. Got movement at the line, nobody jumping though. Davis trying to draw the defense offside. Both these teams with aspirations of getting into the playoffs as they go back to the ground. That's Wekiva. Bowling ahead is Tyree Phileas. And he'll pick up that first down. An impressive performance at the line. Wekiva just pushing the defense back.
Phileas on the carry for the Mustangs. That takes the ball out to the 44-yard line, and it's enough for a Mustang first down.
Both these teams with aspirations of getting into the playoffs, legitimate aspirations. That is one of their goals every season, but it's a lot harder to get in when you're start off 1 and 3 than 2 and 2. Again, both these teams come in 1 and 2. The two-back set, the handoff to Phileas. He looks left, slashes back right, won't get much as he tries to power on that right side. The defense this time ready.
Phileas again on the carry. Gain of 2 on the play. 2nd and 8 coming up for Wekiva from their own 46-yard line.
So Wekiva breaks the huddle. We are live from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium on the southeast side of Apopka, right next to the 414. Wekiva back to the one back set, trips far side, one low on the near side. Davis calling the snap. Going deep over the middle, in and out of the hands. I believe that was Bennett. Yes, the receiver who picked up a touchdown last week couldn't haul that one in.
Joshua Bennett, the intended receiver. The pass falls incomplete. And that brings up 3rd and 8 for the Mustangs from their own 46.
Davis leading Bennett just a bit too much. So mentioned last week, Wekiva losing to Lake Minneola. The defense giving up only 6 points in the second game against Ocoee, less than 100 yards. Last week, not really the same story. They gave up 363 yards. And we'll get back to the offense in just a minute as Gay goes in motion. 3rd and 8, second third down attempt for Wekiva. It would certainly help them a long way, even if they don't score, to keep possession, and they're not going to as the ball comes out of Davis's hands. He does recover, but obviously they're going to have to punt now. So once again, Wekiva having some troubles with the turnovers and fumbling in that game against Ocoee. 6 fumbles. They only lost 3 of the 6. And let's hope that that's the aberration, not the norm tonight.
A loss of 9 on the play will bring up 4th and 19 for the Mustangs, and they will punt the ball away.
Nate Fritchley in to do the punting. Also the kicker gets it away. Not much height or distance. Does take a Wekiva roll, and it will be down there by Jeremy Benjamin at the 33-yard line. So much better putt than it originally looked. And Wekiva getting 1 first down on their first possession, but that's all that they were able to do. And now West Orange, see what they do in their first possession as they take over 1st and 10 from their own 33-yard line. Jack Riley, the starting quarterback, will get you Wekiva's starting lineup on defense in a minute. He swings it out to Bridgewater. Bridgewater doing some nice maneuvering, and they pick up a first down on their first play, motoring ahead.
Bridgewater on the carry. That is good for a Warrior first down. The ball is spotted almost at midfield at the West Orange 49-yard line, 1st and 10.
1st and 10 at the 49, as you just heard Mark say. 16-yard gain. This time they hit the ground, and Wekiva's defense is ready. Jaden Amons on the carry. Actually lost a yard. So that'll be 2nd and 8 from the West Orange 48. Hand off again to Amons. He powers ahead. This time he does gain some forward momentum and yardage. He'll get the ball up on that left side to Wekiva's 47-yard line. That's a 4-yard gain.
Jaden Ammons on the carry for a gain of 4. Brings up 3rd and 6 for the Warriors in Mustang territory at the 47-yard line.
First time tonight either team has moved into the opponent's territory out of the one-back set. Trips on the near side, single on the right, on the upside, and back. And knocked down. Great defense, double coverage. Intended receiver was Powell Chestnut. Actually,
pass intended for Jordan Bridgewater. Falls incomplete, and that'll bring up 4th and 7 for the Warriors.
So Wekiva's starting defense, didn't get a chance to mention that. Of course, up front, the big guys, Sincere Edwards, Anthony Rozier, Amar Hayes, and Xavier Stevens. Your linebackers, Tyrese Alexis, Jalen Barnes. And in the secondary, Takevius Davis, Gray Jones, the cornerbacks, your nickel back. As the punt gets off. Jabari Smith on one side, safety, and Kalen Metters on the other side. And in the middle, playing that nickel back, is Jameer Tyson. Your starting lineup on offense for Wekiva. Of course, as we've mentioned over and over, Tyree Davis returns to the starting lineup under center. Unable to go last week due to a leg injury. Tyree Filius behind him at running back. Your big guys up front, left to right. On the line, Brock Billings, Shine Love, Malachi Enriquez, James Mixon, Chase Edwards.
That's better.
Your receivers, Anthony Gay, Jamarian Robinson, who doubles up as your running back, Michael Ellison, Joshua Bennett. So Wekiva, 1st and 10, their second possession of the game, 5:38 remaining. Wekiva able to get a first down on their first possession. West Orange gaining one possession as well. 1st and 10 at the 10-yard line. Davis with the swing pass down the sideline, 50, 40, 30. We're going to have our first touchdown of the game. 20, 15, 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that is Josh Bennett. 6-0 Wekiva.
Joshua Bennett needed just one play, and he is all the way into the end zone for a 70-yard Mustang touchdown.
Mark, where was the line of scrimmage? 20?
So 80 yards there for Joshua Bennett. You see there on the instant replay. First play of the drive, and Wekiva is on the board 6-0, and he found that outside corner, turned on the afterburners, and had nobody ahead of him.
Fritchley in for the PAT out of Smith's hold. Ball down, kicks up, no problem. Wekiva, oh no, it's wide left. Wekiva did miss a field goal, a PAT in their game against Socoe.
The PAT attempt by Fritchley is wide left, and so the score remains 6-0 with 5 minutes, 21 seconds remaining in the first quarter.
So Bennett last week, scoring a touchdown, and one touchdown wasn't good enough for Mark. This time he does it spectacular. The donkey kick to the stomach, lightning quick. 6-0 lead for Wekiva at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium.
And it's muffed. Are they going to give it to Wekiva? Yes. Keandre McCormick for the Mustangs, handling the dropped kickoff return, and the Mustangs will get a second possession starting deep into Warrior territory at the 30-yard line.
The Lightning striking twice for Wekiva. Not only do they get the ball back, and at the West Orange 30-yard line, as Mark said, deep in the opponent's territory, but this will also give the defense a chance to rest as well. So far, Davis not looking any different, no worse for wear, returning from his injury. Wekiva remains in the one-back set. 5:14 remaining, 6-0 lead for Wekiva. This time, though, Phileas lines up behind. Fake play action, and Davis throwing that ball low and out of bounds. So an incomplete pass to start this possession. Good news, though, Mark, is Davis did throw that ball where no one could really get to it.
Davis looking in the direction of Cheaton Smith. The pass falls incomplete, brings up 2nd and 10 for Wekiva from the Warrior 30.
So both teams committing a fumble through the first 7 minutes, roughly 7 minutes. Wekiva able to recover theirs. Theirs was also on 3rd down. West Orange's fumble occurring on the kickoff. Wekiva recovering it, and that's where we are right now. Is that's Gay in motion. 2-back set now. Handoff to Phileas. He slashes ahead on that right side. Good blocking.
Phileas on the carry for a short game. That'll be actually a gain of 5. Takes the ball to the 25-yard line, brings up 3rd and 5.
Hayes and Stevens giving Phileas lots of room to run for those 5 yards. So we'll bring up 3rd and 5. Ball at the 25-yard line now. Just on the border of field goal range. So certainly a first down would be important for that reason, as well as keeping the drive going. And, well, now it's decision time for Coach Schwartz. Bennett unable to come up with that. Good defense in the secondary. As that ball was actually, I believe that ball was swatted away.
Fourth and 5 coming up for Wekiva, and
Coach Schwartz.
If I know Coach Schwartz, he's not taking a field goal from here.
And to be honest, I think that is probably about 7 yards out of the range of Nate Fritchley. He's a good field goal kicker, very accurate, but 35 is about his distance. Out of the one-back set, Davis, heat from backside, finds Smith, the two-way defender.
Javari Smith from Davis, and he picks up the 4th down conversion, gives Wekiva 1st and 10 from the 15-yard line.
And give Davis credit, he felt that heat from the backside. Got rid of that ball quickly. Give Smith credit for making the turn and being in position to make the catch. 1st and 10 for Wekiva at their 16-yard line. That's a 9-yard gain for Davis. And one of the things I've noticed so far through the first 3 games and 8 minutes of this season, Davis has not always been consistent in terms of completion, but he has been consistent when Wekiva needs a completion, and especially when he needs a completion for a first down, he has made it happen. Wekiva 1st and 10 as they move towards the West Orange end zone. Another throw. This one will be incomplete again. And going back to my point that Davis still trying to find his mojo in terms of completion percentage. That's the 3rd incomplete pass he's had in this series. Wekiva with only 1 rushing play. 4:17 remaining. Both these teams needing a win. They come in 1 and 2. Now, to their credit, both these teams have played very difficult schedules, both among top 20 in the entire state in all classes. And they are still ranked in the Orlando Sentinel Super 16 as Davis play action goes into the end zone, and I believe that was a live to fight another day pass, high and wide for Michael Ellis.
So, Neil, if this doesn't convert, you have to believe that Coach Schwartz has maybe a little bit tougher decision to make on what you do on a 4th down from here.
Yeah, which you're now looking at a 33-yard field goal, which again, 35 I would say is Fritchley's maximum. So you're right on that border. So Davis sets the line up, trips, far sideline, single near sideline, 1-back set. That's Phileas next to Davis. 4:08 remaining, first quarter. Thank you for joining us on this Thursday night from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, Wekiva's home field. Davis looking left. Lots of time, good blocking. Now rush, and he throws that out of bounds. Good secondary coverage, and that really was why Davis had to throw the ball away. So now you're looking at 4th and 10 from the West Orange 16. Again, Wekiva going for that first down conversion. Already once on 4th down at the West Orange 25-yard line. They were successful as Davis completed a 9-yard pass to Smith, Jabari Smith. And I'm not sure what they're doing. Looks like we got a timeout, at least a stoppage. 3:58 remaining in the first quarter. I'm Neil Fisher. The other voice you hear is Mark Barchi, who also doubles as our public address announcer for Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium.
And the penalty on the play is a face mask called against the Mustangs. The penalty is declined, and so the result of the play stands as now 4th and 10 from the West Orange 15-yard line.
Okay, so again, that other voice you hear is Mark Barchi, and as he just explained, a face mask, that's why we got the stoppage. So Coach Schwartz is going to try the field goal. 6-0 lead for West Orange. So not the touchdown, you want the 7, but if this field goal is good, you're now looking at a 2-score lead in the first quarter. That's Smith out of the hold. Fritchley lines up, low snap, and short, about 2 yards. And you have to wonder how much that low snap affected the kick. Smith did need about a half a second to set the ball up for Fritchley, and that could have thrown his timing off.
Fritchley is just short, and so the score remains 6-0 Wekiva, with 3 minutes 51 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Well, Neil, one of the things you have to think about is even though Wekiva was not able to get any points off of that, that was a found possession. The net result of this is that we've gone 8 minutes and 9 seconds into the first quarter, and West Orange has possessed the ball for, about 15 of those seconds?
Yeah, well, it's a little bit more. Actually, I think it was about a minute. They did get a first down, as they'll get some positive yardage on that. But as of now, Wekiva has had the 3 possessions, and this is West Orange's second possession.
Larry Miles is tackled by Jalen Barnes for a gain of 4. That'll bring up 2nd and 6 for the Warriors from their own 24-yard line.
So as you heard Mark say, 2nd and 6. As West Orange lines up. They got 3 receivers near side, 1 up high, 1 back set. Long throw and incomplete. Jack Riley going down that far sideline.
The pass is caught by Bridgewater.
Oh, it is caught.
But he is out of bounds, and so that will bring up 3rd and 6.
Same formation for West Orange. They trail 6-0. Dodged the proverbial bullet as they take over as the snap from the 24-yard line and give the completion to number 2. That's Bridgewater.
Pass complete to Bridgewater. Greg Jones makes the stop, but not before the Warriors pick up the first down. The ball is spotted at the 35-yard line.
So a 10-yard gain. A new set of downs for the West Orange Warriors. And by the way, Greg Jones, who made that tackle, he is the right fielder for the baseball team. And straight up the middle, I believe that was Ammons, and he runs into a host of Wekiva defenders, nowhere to go. They'll keep the ball at the 35, 2nd and 10. I'm Neil Fisher. The other voice you're hearing is Mark Barchi. As we approach 2 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Riley calls out the play, lines his team up, drops back over the middle, incomplete. Looked like maybe somebody got a hand on that pass.
Bridgewater, the intended receiver. The pass falls incomplete. It'll bring up 3rd and long for the Warriors.
And by the way, Riley comes into this game with a 60.1 quarterback rating. He's completed 37 of 81 passes, 428 yards. That's a 46% percentage, averaging 142 yards per game, 2 interceptions and 2 TDs. So far, both quarterbacks looking to find their mojo. Of course, these are 2 top-flight defenses, and they've had a lot to do with that as well. 3rd and 10, Riley down that right sideline and tipped away. That's
Pass
Bennett.
Is deflected by Joshua Bennett, and that'll bring up 4th and long for the Warriors.
So Bennett not wasting any time tonight. Of course, he has the touchdown, an 80-yard flash and dash down the far sideline, and now he comes up with that tip, preventing West Orange from gaining a 1st down. And they'll be forced to punt. Dropping back, Kelvin Ramirez, the 5'11" junior. So barring a turnover or a successful fake punt, Wekiva's going to have an opportunity for a 2nd consecutive possession to up the lead to 2 scores. As I look down, I see the Mustang mascot in. No fake. Punt gets away. Ramirez gets the punt away, and Wekiva will take over. Let's see. It'll be on their territory, but near midfield. 1:35 remaining. And it'll be at the Wekiva 40-yard line. So better than average field position for Wekiva. And while we got this opportunity, just also want to acknowledge our behind-the-scenes workers, the students under Mark Washington's direction. That's the broadcast production teacher. Of course, we couldn't put on this broadcast without their involvement. As Wekiva goes back to work, those on the ground. No, it's going to be a pass, and Davis throws it out. And I believe, Mark, that was a miscommunication. I think that was supposed to be a handoff, but Phileas didn't realize that. So Davis had to throw that ball out of bounds, so live to fight another day play. Wekiva with the 6-0 lead as we approach the end of the 1st quarter. Both teams 1 and 2. They are ranked in the Orlando Sentinel Super 16 because of the strength of their schedule, each of them playing a ranked opponent in that very same poll for the first 3 games. But if you want to get into the playoffs, it's much harder when you're 1 and 3 as opposed to 2 and 2. And now Davis, have yet to see him run, and there's a nice pass. Bullseye. Gay, 1st down. So Davis, not sure about his ability to run, as we mentioned throughout this game. He was unable to go last week. He was injured against Sokoe in the 2nd game, a leg injury. So we're not sure about his running, but certainly his accuracy from the arm, no question there. He has brought that tonight. And there's a flag as they go with Gay. Nope, that was Davis on the quarterback draw. And most likely that's a holding. As Wekiva, that pass was completed at the West Orange 30. That was a 30-yard completion. Under a minute in the 1st quarter. And yes, the penalty is against Wekiva. So they'll be looking at 1st and long when we resume.
Flag on the play. Illegal motion is called against the Mustangs.
Okay, so
That puts the ball at the 34-yard line, brings up 1st and 14.
So could have been a lot worse, Mark. Usually those penalties are holding. Instead, that's a 10-yarder. This time it was only 5. Wekiva still facing 1st and 15. With the 6-0 lead, Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, the scene. Wekiva remaining in what's been their standard set. 1 back, 3 receivers far wide, far side, 1 down low. And another bad snap. Davis brings it down and under pressure. Another live to fight another day pass. And we've talked about this. So we talked about Davis's maturity, not just physically, not just in terms of the skill set, but his intelligence and his football IQ. And there was an example. We talked about that we started talking about that during the second half of last season. It's continuing now with him being a senior. Wekiva now facing 2nd and 15. This will be the last play of the first quarter. And another whistle as right in front of us, the student section, and they are in midseason form with their chairs, just cheering "We Will Rock You" by the legendary Queen.
Flag on the play. False start is called against the Mustangs. That's another 5 yards from the previous start, and now brings up 2nd and 20 for Wekiva.
And as you just heard Mark say, our public address announcer, unfortunately, the student section, their great chairs did not prevent that second false start in this possession. Last play of the first quarter. Wekiva remains in the same set. The quick pass out. And that's going nowhere. Good defense for West Orange. Help from the linebacker position coming up. And that'll do it for the end of the first quarter. We'll have the receiver in just a minute. Actually, that was Gay who caught the ball. And so the first quarter, first game of the 2023 season at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, home of the Wekiva Mustangs. Wekiva with the 6-0 lead. We'll be back for the second quarter. Wekiva with possession and looking to get that lead to 2 scores. Gay caught that, right, number 2?
That takes us to the end of the first quarter. It's a 6-0 lead for the Mustangs. At the end of 12 minutes here at Mustang Field. Week 4, the first home game of season 17.
So back live from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, about the second quarter. At last play with actually a 3-yard loss, even though it was completed. Wekiva now at the 42. Davis under pressure steps up and short arms that pass. Gay, the intended receiver.
Pass intended for Anthony Gay falls incomplete. That'll bring a 4th and long to the Mustangs.
And as you just heard Mark Barchi, our public address announcer, Wekiva unable to convert. They were able to get 1 first down on this possession. And Fritchley is in. That's number 16 to punt. So far, one play has determined the score on this game. An 80-yard flash and dash from Josh Bennett. Tyree Davis hitting him for about 5 yards, and Bennett doing the rest down the far sideline. Okay, and we also have a penalty.
Flag on the play. Chop block is called against the Mustangs And the Warriors, of course, will decline that penalty, so the result of the play stands and makes it 4th and 20.
So 3 penalties on that possession. And penalties have been a problem for Wekiva through the first 3 games of the season, even going back to the preseason game against Buchholz. Committed 14 against Olympia, 14 again against Ocoee, and 12 last week against Lake Mineola. As West Orange clears away from that punt, and Benjamin will down it.
And the punt is down to near the 12-yard line. Picked up there by Benjamin, and that's where West Orange will take over with their next offensive possession with 1st and 10.
So Wekiva, so far, they've gone both of the big breaks. Told you about the 80-yard Davis to Bennett TD. They also fumbled the ball on Wekiva's last possession when they punted it. Actually, excuse me, they fumbled the kickoff. Wekiva did not score, but Wekiva still has had possession for the majority of that first quarter because of the turnover. And now a quick out, a screen pass, a slip screen pass. That's McCormick.
McCormick on the screen, and that's good for a gain of 9. Brings up 2nd and 1 for Wekiva.
So can't ask for much better on 1st down. 2nd and 1 now for West Orange as we begin the second quarter. Wekiva, the home team, with the 6-0 lead. Out of the one-back set, the quick handoff. And Ammon's not much, but he only needed a yard for that 1st down.
Ammon's on the carry. That is good for a gain of 2. And it puts the ball at the 22-yard line, enough for a West Orange 1st down.
That was actually McCormick. So he's touched the ball on both plays in this possession. And there's offsides or encroachment. Encroachment, the official term, as one of the Mustang players jumping into that neutral zone.
Flag on the play. Offsides called against the Mustang defense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot and a replay of 1st down. So this feels like a familiar refrain, Neil. I feel like I've had this conversation before in the previous season, that these are the types of things that will cause coaches to tear what little hair they have left out.
Yeah, and speaking of hair, as we all know, Coach Schwartz has decided to go with the shaved look.
But in any case, these dead ball fouls, just the mental errors and just donations to the West Orange cause. 2 on offense in the previous possession and now 1 on defense. This one, long ball is broken up. Pass intended for Larry Miles is broken up by Jaden Smith. And I'm looking everywhere to see any laundry, and I do not. That was a clean deflection. So beautiful work there by Jaden Smith to save what very likely could have been a touchdown or certainly a big gain for the Warriors. Instead, they'll face 2nd and 5.
Yeah, so the ball at the West Orange 27-yard line. 2nd and 9.
Another great pass play defense from the Mustangs. I did not see who batted that down. I think it might have been Archie. But in any case, the pass is deflected and falls incomplete, and that brings up 3rd and 5 for the Warriors. So for whatever criticisms you may have of their mental errors on dead balls, certainly these last 2 plays, the mental sharpness is there. Originally, of course, that was on the previous play, that was Smith that had that great secondary break up, and then again, I believe it was Archie. I couldn't see really there on that last play, but breaking up the pass on the front end, and now we're going to get another dead ball penalty. So just as I'm singing the praises of the Wekiva defense, they go and give away a 1st down.
Second penalty on this possession.
Flag on the play, offsides, called against the Mustang defense. 5-yard donation to the Warrior cause, and that is enough for a West Orange first down. So now 1st and 10 from their own 32-yard line. 9:55 to go here in the first half. Again, Mark Barchi and Neil Fisher here with you from south of Apopka, Florida with Week 4. And for a minute there, you may have wondered whether we still had a stadium here because Wekiva has kind of an unusual schedule this year. The first 3 weeks of the regular season plus the preseason classic. So 4 total games in a row played on the road as we get some action there in the middle. And it is a catch.
Yeah,
Pass complete to Larry Miles across midfield for a Warrior first down.
Give Riley credit. Boy, he threaded the needle there. Not only did he thread the needle, but he had to lead the receiver, Miles, into that pass.
23 yards on the completion. 1st and 10 West Orange in Wekiva territory now.
At the Wekiva 45, they trailed 6-0. Pair of 1 and 2 teams, they need a win tonight. I've been saying it throughout the game. They're 1 and 2 because of the strength of schedule. We'll get back to that in a minute. The handoff, that's Hollinger, a sweep from the wide receiver position. Looks like he gained 2, maybe 3 yards.
Hollinger on the carry for a short gain.
That's
gain of 1 on the play, brings up 2nd and 9.
Quick snap, no huddle. Riley under pressure, he throws.
It's caught, but was he in bounds? It looks like the answer is no.
Okay, incomplete. So, as I was saying before, Riley coming in, the junior, a 60.1 quarterback rating. Looks like he's still trying to find his mojo in his game, but he has shown that the potential is there, as now a 3rd and 9 being faced by the West Orange Warriors. Riley drops back, got time, and finds his man. And yes, he was in bounds.
Pass is complete to Jordan Bridgewater, and that is enough to move the chains. 1st and 10 for West Orange, with the ball spotted right at the 30-yard line.
3rd first down for West Orange on this drive, a 14-yard completion. So Bridgewater has had the bulk of carries in terms of advancing the ball.
And it looks like we've got a Mustang who is slow to get up.
So quickly, Bridgewater coming in with 11 receptions, 106 yards per game. And one of the 3 main cogs, if you will, in the West Orange offense. Hollinger, who tried that end-around sweep, he has 12 receptions, and Miles, who's caught a couple of balls, 14 receptions as well.
And Mustangs number 60, Mujahid Jefferson, shaken up on the play. Excuse me, that's number 50. That is Xavier Stevens. Makes his way off with the help of our athletic training team. I want to extend our thanks to the Wekiva High School Athletic Training Department and all of their partners who help to keep our athletes safe during their practices and at all of our competitions all season long. Very important, critical work, and they do a fantastic job with it. We appreciate all of their dedication.
So Xavier Stevens, the defensive lineman, usually lines up on the right side. He's going to have to come out for at least one play. West Orange averaging 278 yards per game. Now putting together a drive which has potential to score over the middle. Riley finds his man. That'll be another first down. Quick drop, quick release. And the result is a fourth down.
Hollinger on the completion, and that will take the ball to the 19-yard line for a gain of 11, and it is enough for a Warrior first down.
So now Wekiva's defense facing its first challenge of the game. Riley drops back one step into the left side of the end zone, out of bounds.
Yeah, that was actually possibly catchable, but excellent job on defense. That was Greg Jones on the coverage.
We'll bring up 2nd and 10.
2nd and 10 coming up from the Mustangs' 19-yard line.
6-0 score for Wekiva. 7:45 remaining. The home team with that lead. Trips spread out on the near side. And back to the ground. Plowing ahead between the left tackle and the center. The left guard in the center. Actually was a bigger gain than initially appeared, 3 yards. And that was Ammons. That was McCormick, number 21. So now 3rd and 7 for West Orange. Again, first challenge, serious challenge being faced by Wekiva tonight. Into the corner of the end zone, and that's going to go out of bounds.
Knocked away by Joshua Bennett, and that'll bring up 4th down for the Warriors.
So Bennett, I believe is that his 3rd tip pass tonight?
At least. I've called his name several times.
So, of course, Bennett, the reason Wekiva has the 6-0 lead, goes both ways. Caught a 5-yard screen pass and bolted down that far sideline, 75 yards. So we're now going to have a 34-yard field goal attempt. That's Kelvin Ramirez, the junior. 6:55 remaining. Holding is Bridgewater. Snap down, kick up, on the way, and no. Had the distance, but went wide left.
And the field goal attempt is wide left, and so the score will remain 6-0 with 6 minutes, 52 seconds remaining in the second quarter.
So Wekiva dodges the proverbial bullet. And they've gotten 3 breaks now. Of course, told you about Bennett scoring on the 80-yard touchdown pass. Davis with the throw. They also had the fumble on the ensuing kickoff, and now the missed field goal with, as Mark said, 6:50 remaining in the first quarter. Score remains 6-0. Wekiva goes back to work. It'll be 1st and 10 at their 20-yard line. I'm Neil Fisher. The other voice you hear is Mark Barchi. Thank you for joining us on this Thursday night. As the pass incomplete. Not sure if that was intended for Bennett or Gay.
Well, yeah, the pass was intended for Anthony Gay. It falls incomplete and makes it 2nd and 10. And yeah, you saw Gay looking back at Davis there like, that wasn't what I was expecting you to do.
So that'll bring up 2nd and 10. So mentioned at the beginning of this broadcast, Wekiva. We'll get back to this about the defense in a minute as Phileas takes the handoff and he gallops ahead, carries some defenders with him still on his feet. And when it's all said and done, that's a 15-yard gain and a 1st down.
Tyree Phileas on the carry for the Mustangs. That takes the ball out to the 35-yard line, and it's enough for a Mustang 1st down.
So an important carry there gets Wekiva out of the shadow of their end zone. Has 6.5 minutes remaining in the second quarter. But Tyree, who took over the starting running back position this year, showing that he's got some power and some Getty up there. Out of the one-back set, this is Phileas again. He tries that left side. Not quite as powerful, but just as effective. 6 yards on 1st down.
Phileas again on the carry, pickup of 6 to take the ball to the 41-yard line of Mustang territory, and it brings up 4 yards to go on second down.
So back to the defense against Ocoee. An average game in their first game against Olympia, giving up 24 points. As Davis lines them up. And he'll go with the quick throw, finds Gay, turns around. We got a penalty, that's actually Jabari Smith. So we'll see if there's any forward progress.
Pass is complete to Jabari Smith, and it would be enough for a first down pending the outcome of the penalty marker.
And I believe that's a false start, actually. So if
a false start would have been a dead ball foul. So
while we wait, going back to the defense, they gave up 24 points against Olympia and 334 yards, maybe a little below average. Then against Ocoee, a superb performance, holding the Knights to 77 points and 77 yards and 6 points. And then last week, boy, it was not a good performance. Anything that could have gone wrong did. They gave up 363 yards. More importantly, they gave up 34 points. And Wekiva, they also had a pick six, Joshua Bennett, going 94 yards, and they still gave up 363 yards. So
personal foul, face mask is called against the Warrior defense. And so that's why we had the officials' consultation with Coach Schwartz there, because that's probably an interesting decision point on whether you take that penalty or not.
Is that the 5-yard penalty?
I believe.
Oh, it was a 15-yard. And in the meantime, we got a timeout.
We have reached the midpoint of the second quarter, and so we'll pause for an official timeout. 6-0 the score halfway through the second quarter here at Mustang Field in Week 4 of Season 17.
And so, to finish my thought about the defense, they've been inconsistent when you look at the statistics through each of the 3 games, going from each of those 3 games. But last week, they were inconsistent from play to play. Coach Schwartz talked about that when I talked to him Monday afternoon in our weekly conversation. They had several very nice plays. They had 3 turnovers, but they also gave up 6 plays of at least 20 yards. So far tonight, as you look at that scoreboard, they are throwing a goose egg. So you have to say, certainly they've rectified that problem of inconsistency. Now, the ball is going to be on the Wekiva 44-yard line. Was the penalty accepted?
Again, prior to the official timeout, there was a 15-yard face mask penalty against West Orange, so Wekiva gets 1st and 10 from the opposing 44.
Into the corner of the end zone, Bennett!
Pass
2 for 2
to Joshua Bennett.
So Bennett did get into the end zone. A beautiful pass from Davis, as we mentioned. Davis returning from a leg injury. We haven't seen him run the ball, I believe, just once tonight, but certainly his accuracy brought his A game.
So the pass was caught but not in bounds, and so Wekiva will once again look at 2nd and 10 now from the 44-yard line. So, a tough angle from here. Looked like he might have had his feet in, but that was ruled incomplete. And so no penalty marker, though, just an incomplete pass. And Wekiva now looking at 2nd and 10.
Davis with the 6-0 lead. Bennett going 80 yards for that touchdown, takes the snap. He rolls right. There's a flag. And I believe that's Bennett who caught it again. And I don't think that's going to stand, though. Those penalties right behind the line of scrimmage are usually holding about 95% of the time. And that would also explain why Davis was able to get rid of the ball.
Bennett is
there
into
it
the end zone. However, there is a flag on the play. Holding called against the Mustang offense. That's a 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul and a replay of second down.
So a couple of what could have been plays. The first play, just one of those football things. You try to stay in bounds. Great effort by Bennett and Davis. The second play, again, the discipline coming back to bite Wekiva. And now they're looking at second and long. It'll be from their own 44-yard line after they have moved the ball into West Orange territory. And they'll get some of that yardage
That's a catch.
back.
Pass is complete to Michael Ellis. And that puts the ball back to about the original line of scrimmage. 3rd and 10 coming up for Wekiva from the West Orange 44-yard line.
So at least a manageable distance. 3:53 remaining. Wekiva still with the 6-0 lead. Michael Bennett bolting 80 yards, caught a 5-yard screen pass. Down that far sideline, and the defense has come with their A game. Need this first down out of the shotgun. Davis goes back, finds his man, but it's going to be short of the first down. Give West Orange credit, bend but not breaking.
Pass complete to Anthony Gay. And that's going to be good for a gain of about 5 yards. It brings up 4th and 5 for Wekiva. So here, Neil, I think you're in that no man's land where you're in 4-down territory. It's way too long for Fritchley to be looking at a field goal, but it's not long enough to make it a realistic effort to punt. So
yeah, you're not going to gain much more if you punt, even if it's an excellent punt. And again, with 3:15 remaining, that probably plays a factor too. And again, your defense has played well, throwing that goose egg. As Davis looking, now he throws, and he's going to throw that out of bounds. So West Orange's defense, I've been talking throughout this possession about Wekiva's, but West Orange, they've matched Wekiva play for play, except for one play.
Pass incomplete. Will turn the ball over on downs to the Warriors. They take over from their own 30, I think at the 40-yard line, with just about 3 minutes remaining in the first half.
So Wekiva's defense is going to have to come up with the stop one more time. Both these teams have found the sledding going tough against the defenses. And great first play. Avis Brown Jr. gets into the action. He slashes and dashes and weaves to the outside. That'll be a 20-plus yard gain. So the third different back in for West Orange. West Orange going no huddle. All the way to the 41-yard line. That's a 19-yard gain. As we drop under 3 minutes, this time nowhere near as much yardage. It will be a completion. That's Bridgewater coming up with another reception. Just 3 yards, though. Give him 4 yards, actually 5 yards, getting all the way to the 36-yard line. So that will bring up 2nd and 5 for West Orange as they go back to work. And the sweep, and nowhere to go. I believe that was Hollinger.
Latori Hollinger is taken down by Brian Antoine of the Mustang defense.
Great gang tackling and gain to the position by Wekiva.
That puts the ball at the 34-yard line of Mustang territory and brings up 3rd and 3.
Now again, not much, 2 yards in itself, but that does shorten your distance to 3rd and 3 and opens up the playbook. Could go with a run or a pass, even an option RPO out of the shotgun and a dead ball foul. So it's not holding. And it's going to go against West Orange. So we've talked a number of times, Wekiva shooting itself in the own foot.
Flag on the play. False start is called against the Warrior offense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot and a replay of third down. So now it'll be 3rd and 8.
Yeah, and Wekiva shot itself in the foot a number of times, 5 or 6 times so far in this first half. And now West Orange doing the same. As a minute and a half remaining. And I think West Orange now is doing a we'll see what happens approach. They're taking time off the clock as Riley throws that ball out of bounds. That'll stop the clock with 1:17 remaining.
Ball is thrown away.
And that'll
4th and 8 now coming up for the Warriors.
Neil,
so again, you got to think that this is about the same scenario Wekiva was looking at a few plays ago.
Yeah, but I think West Orange are also adding to that the fact that there's only a minute 14, 74 seconds remaining. You really got nothing to lose to run one more play in terms of the time remaining. You're not going to give it back to Wekiva with much time left. So Riley out of the shotgun, under heat, throws over the middle, finds his man. Hard hit, but not before the reception. And that was Miles.
Pass is complete to Larry Miles. Jabari Smith makes the stop, but not before the Warriors pick up that 4th down conversion. That moves the chains. 1st and 10 coming up for West Orange from the Mustang 26.
13-yard gain. Neil Fisher, Mark Barchi.
Now keep in mind, nobody's used a timeout yet until just now.
Yeah, and
I was wondering when that was going to happen. The Warriors request their first timeout of the first half.
Yeah, and so I think you were seeing Wekiva there, West Orange, using the wait-and-see approach now that they got the first down, now that they're at the Wekiva's 26. They probably just need maybe 5 more yards to get at least a 50-50 shot at a field goal attempt. They're going to start using their timeouts. They're going to start playing some strategy and clock. 6-0 your score. Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, the site, home of the Wekiva Mustangs. Both these teams coming in 1-2, so they need a win. Now that record's not quite as bad as it sounds.
Yeah, to your point, Neil, you were saying earlier, both of these teams are still in the Super 16 despite having a losing record, and that's because those 2 losses, both honorable losses for both teams, but 1-3 is not quite as forgivable as 1-2.
Well, the other thing is looking at tangibly, the goal for every team is to get into the playoffs. Both these teams, every year, there's at least talk of them having a legitimate shot, and 1-3 is much harder to overcome than 2-2 as far as getting into the playoffs. Wekiva holding that 6-0 lead. As we drop under a minute, the one-back set, Riley drops back out of the shotgun, tipped and intercepted. Yes, snagged. Great team defense by Wekiva. That was Smith coming up with the interception, and Bennett doing the tipping. I got you covered in the ear, Bennett.
Bennett on the tip, Jabari Smith on the interception, and the Mustangs will take over with 46 seconds remaining in the second quarter.
So Bennett he's got the defense covered in the air. Smith got the defense covered on the ground. And the end result is just when it looked like West Orange was going to be able to put something together and provide a threat as we get in this last minute and go into the halftime with some momentum and some a 6-0 lead is much different than a 6-6 or even 7-6 lead. Wekiva comes up with the big play. So let's see if they're going to try to do anything. 46 seconds remaining. Possession at the Wekiva 7-yard line. And Davis, who has thrown the ball well, he'll stay on the ground. Hard charging. That's Smith. So a couple of plays now with Smith. That was actually Robinson.
Javarian Robinson on the carry, and he has a first down for the Mustangs. Ball spotted at the 30-yard line, 1st and 10, Wekiva. So, Neil, I haven't been keeping track of it officially, but anecdotally, time of possession very, very strongly favoring Wekiva here in the first half.
Well, I don't know if you'd say it'd be heavily, but certainly decisive. The big difference now, of course, is Wekiva scored that touchdown. It was an 80-yard play in total. Davis to Josh Bennett. It actually just started off as like a 4 or 5 yard screen. I believe it was 5 yards. Bennett slashing down that far sideline, got about 10 yards, and then did some shake and bake, and he was off to the races. On the kickoff that ensued, West Orange fumbled the ball, and even though Wekiva did not score, the benefit, to your point, Mark, is that's why they have decisively more. They have six. This is their sixth possession of the second half compared to 4 for West Orange. So 38 seconds remaining. Wekiva remaining in the split back set, one back. This time they go 2 receivers on each side. In motion, that's Bennett. Just spoke about him. He with the 80-yard touchdown reception. And the short pass incomplete.
Pass intended for Anthony Gay falls incomplete. That brings up 2nd and 10 for the Mustangs from their own 30.
32 seconds remaining now. So Wekiva a long way to go for a touchdown, but the good news is as long as they keep possession of this ball, they will go into halftime with a 6-0 lead as they line up. Back to the trips and single set. Trips up high, single low, one back set, Filius. Next to Davis. Davis drops back under pressure. Now he's going deep and overthrows his receiver. That was Benjamin. .25 seconds remaining, and there was a flag on that play. Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, the site, Wekiva's home field, southeast of Popka, right next to the 414. And so 8 penalties so far for Wekiva. This time, though, it's West Orange committing the penalty. And that takes the ball out to the 30-yard line and a first down for Wekiva. 25 seconds remaining. 6-0 lead for Wekiva. Davis, something we've seen all night, and now he goes down. There's a penalty. 20 seconds remaining, so Wekiva will not be able to run that last 20 seconds off. Penalty came down at the end of the play.
Davis on the QB keep, flag on the play.
Both teams 1 and 2. And that's Wekiva's 9th penalty of the first half. And I cannot stress enough, it's up there with Tyree Davis missing last week's game against Sokoe with a leg injury, returning tonight. Just penalties, penalties, penalties. As this is a 10-yard penalty, actually a 15-yard penalty. So I think at this point you're going to see Coach Schwartz tell his team, I think you're going to see at this point, with 17 seconds remaining, Coach Schwartz deciding to just run out the clock. So Wekiva committing 14 penalties in its opener against Olympia, 14 penalties against Ocoee, and 12 last week. That's 40 penalties in 3 games, and they're on pace to break that tonight. And nope, we're not going to run out the clock. Davis with a bullet. Good play by him, but an even better play by Powell Chestnut, who slapped that ball away. And now there's 11 seconds remaining. And 4th down for Wekiva.
Now this is still second down because that previous penalty negated the.
Yes, excuse me,
negated
second
the
down. But there is still 11 seconds, and they still are at the 20-yard line. Might be the last play of the first half. A first half dominated by the defense, 6-0 lead for Wekiva. And before we get that play, though, Coach Schwartz calling a timeout, wants to talk about what to do now.
The Mustangs request their first timeout of the first half. 11 seconds remaining. Don't go anywhere. We've got halftime entertainment coming up for you. The West Orange Marching Band and the Wekiva Marching Band will be taking the field to show you their 2023 offering. We'll look forward to having them on the field in just a few minutes. And then, of course, third and fourth quarter coming up. We want to also thank those of you who are watching us online on YouTube or the NFHS network. Welcome to Mustang Field. We're glad to have you with us tonight. We're also, of course, delighted to have those of you who are here in person. We want to remind you to make sure you are following us, if you're not already doing so, on Facebook, Instagram, X, formerly known as Twitter, and YouTube. We are at Wekiva Sports on all 4 of those services. Please make sure you're subscribed there so you get notified when we go live and when we have updates for you from our athletic events. Again, it's at Wekiva Sports on all 4 social media services. And, of course, WekivaMustangs.com for all of your scores, schedules, and more. All of our fall schedules posted there right now, including our football schedule.
6-0 lead for Wekiva. Pair of 1 and 2 teams. Both teams needing a victory. The lone score, 5:21 remaining in the first quarter. Josh Bennett and Tyree Davis, 80-yard pass. Started off as a 5-yard screen. Bennett shaked and baked his way. Now Davis with the quick pass over the middle. Some more shake and bake. This is Benjamin. He's going to get the ball back a little past the original line of scrimmage. And
Jeremy Benjamin
remaining
on the carry. He has a gain of 15 yards. Not enough for the first down, and time expires on the first half. 6-0 is your score at intermission here in week 4 of the 2023 football season. Our first foray into the season here at home as the Mustangs embark on season 17. Again, Wekiva 6, Warriors 0 at the close of the first 24 minutes.
And so in the meantime, sit back, relax, and enjoy the halftime show. As Mark just said, both marching bands will be out to take the field in this battle between a pair of 1 and 2 teams, both teams needing a win. We'll have the total yards, the stats, and the recap when we come back for the second half. We are live from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, home of the Wekiva Mustangs.
Please Please welcome to the field the West Orange High School Marching Band. It was fine the last time I looked at it.
Oh, it came off when I put it on. I'm not sure what exactly I did.
obviously going to be to focus it. I don't think you need that for right now. So you're going to get over here.
Where the band at?
So you're going to follow wherever you think it's interesting. So them, they're right in the middle. They're interesting right now. You just move the stick up a little bit. All right.
Yes, sir.
Drum major.
You can zoom in out with this one right here. And this is going to be the one to focus, all right? I'll tell you what we're looking at right there.
Mustang Marching Band proudly presents the music of Michael Jackson.
Y'all get a cheeseburger, give me one too, cuz. What's all talking about? Man, nigga, oh shit. He lock in, let me lock in. Like shit. Hold up. Nigga, are you dumb? Oh, my right. On my right, though, right? Nigga, everybody on your right is fucking 250. Oh, you talking about, alright, I see that. Right up? I don't know if that's the truth. Hey, who is, man? I think it's different, man. I'm going to the left. Oh, people get me. Wait, Dale, what you recording? Which part? Nigga, which part of the field are you recording? Everything, nigga, I'm doing that. I made it just with give me some food, bro. I can't call nobody, nigga. I can't, like, you know what I'm saying? Goddamn, that's off in the end. What? Bro, that shit, yeah. Every morning I love you. You know what I'm saying? her a little snack. You know what I'm saying? And a little favor too. You feel me? Also cool. A little coupon combo also cool.
Once again, the pride of Wekiva, your Mustang Marching Band. And speaking of our marching bands, we invite you to enjoy a snack from our concession stand. Your purchase there, besides satisfying your hunger, will also support our Mustang Band programs. I want to thank West Orange and Wekiva for coming out tonight and sharing their music with us. And we also, again, want to thank those of you joining us online on YouTube or the NFHS network. Thanks for being part of our broadcast this evening. Those of you here in the stadium, if you have friends and family back in Winter Garden, elsewhere in Apopka, or anywhere in the world, and they'd like to catch the second half of the game, we are continuing to live stream. Again, that's youtube.com/Wekiva Sports or Wekiva Sports on the YouTube app on your favorite computer, smart TV, or mobile device, or the NFHS Network app. We're simulcasting the very same on both of those services. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a moment.
It's the top one or the bottom one? That looks crazy, man. I ain't gonna lie. There's more kills. I'm already knowing shit in front of me right now.
straight to him with that? Well, he called me over there. He took off immediately. Y'all boy know what it is. Hey, y'all boy come say.
Yep. Welcome back to Mustang Field here in South Popka. 6-0 the score at halftime. And Neil, Wekiva certainly with several missed opportunities, some mental errors on penalties that maybe cost them momentum. But all in all, in particular, you have to give a lot of credit to Wekiva's defense. They are getting it done when it needs to get done and keeping West Orange out of the end zone.
Yeah, certainly, Mark. And both these teams come in 1-2. We've talked about that throughout this broadcast. Both of them need a victory. And this really has been, as you mentioned, Wekiva, some opportunities they let go by the wayside, but you could say the same for West Orange. And really, I described the first half as the what could have been first half. Wekiva with the 6-0 lead, they could be leading by a 13-0 score. On the other hand, West Orange could be leading 10-6. We look at the stats. Wekiva has 171 yards total to 130 for West Orange. Most of the what could have been for Wekiva was penalties, 8 for 60. West Orange was only 3 for 35, so if you look at the yards minus the penalties, Wekiva with the 111 to 95 advantage. And of course, if you joined us late, the only score so far, 5:31 in the second half. Davis to Bennett, an 80-yard bolt, as West Orange takes the opening kickoff, still on his feet, and they will start operations from their own 30. A couple of missed opportunities besides the penalties, as you mentioned, Mark. Wekiva.
Taylor on the return for the opening kickoff of the second half, and he is stopped at the Warriors' own 30-yard line. They'll begin their opening drive of the third quarter from there.
So Wekiva, Nate Fritchley missing a field goal with 3:51 in the first, and West Orange, Ramirez missing a field goal as well with 6:50 in the second. There's the whistle, and the first play from scrimmage in the second half. It's a sweep, and a good game could go all the way, cutting back. Still on his feet, the 40, the 30, the 25, the 20, 15, 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And just that quickly, one play, just like Wekiva, Devontae Anderson, 70 yards, and we are tied 6-6, 11:34 into the second half in the battle between a pair of 1 and 2 teams.
Devontae Anderson, 70 yards for the Warriors into the end zone to put them on the board on the very first offensive play of the second half.
So now both teams have scored on 70-yard and 80-yard plays. Lightning quick donkey kicks to the gut. And now Ramirez comes in, chance to give West Orange the lead. And no problem. Out of the hold of Bridgewater, and West Orange has a 7-6 lead. 11:33 remaining.
PAT is up and good for the Warriors, and so they will take a 7-6 lead with 11:33 to go in the third quarter.
And Mark, I was talking about the mistakes. I mentioned that both field goal kickers have missed a field goal. And again, I was just getting to it. Wekiva, Nate Fritchley missing the PAT, which is why you had a 6-0 lead instead of 7-0. So there again, Wekiva's defense has been strong, but they make one mistake. Somebody did not contain on that sweep when Anderson turned upfield, and he was gone down that sideline. And then he had a great wall of blocking. He cut back in the middle at about the 35, and nobody was going to touch him because of that blocking wall that he had in front of him.
So one big play for Wekiva, one big play for West Orange, and that's pretty much it.
Well, that's been it in terms of the scoring. But again, the difference is the most simplest, the most fundamental of plays, the PAT. West Orange, Ramirez converting his, Wekiva Fritchley kicking his PAT wide left.
And as we get ready for the kickoff here, one of our intrepid camera operators has spotted Wekiva cheer going over for their tradition. Wekiva cheer has a tradition every game that they go and do a joint cheer with the cheerleaders from the opposing squad. So they're getting involved in that in the third quarter, as they typically do. And meanwhile, we'll have the kickoff to put the ball in the hands of Wekiva for the first time of the second half.
And turnovers, both teams committing, actually West Orange committing 2 turnovers, an interception, 2:44 in the second quarter. That was a tip ball. Bennett tipping it, Smith catching it, and then they fumbled. Wekiva, the ensuing kickoff after Wekiva scored the touchdown. Wekiva, I was also going to mention that Wekiva has had 6 possessions compared to 4 for West Orange in that first half, and that was why, because of the fumble on the kickoff after the touchdown, Wekiva scored. So all that, though, goes by the wayside on that 70-yard sweep and run, and now 7-6 lead for West Orange as Davis takes the handoff, hands it off to, I believe that's Phileas. He was set right to him. Strong run on first down as he goes to his left. Yep, that was Phileas. Give him
Tyree Phileas
7.
gets the opening handoff of the second half, and he'll pick up 8. 2nd and 2 coming up for the Mustangs from their own 33-yard line.
So obviously a defensive struggle tonight. If defense is your cup of tea, you've come to the right game, first and foremost. But again, Mark, get the feeling it's going to be those 1 or 2 subtle mistakes, as we just saw, that's going to determine the outcome of this game. And now the play action, the quick throw to, I believe that's Smith, and he bowls ahead after catching it. He'll have a first down. So 2 plays, Wekiva with this first down of the second half. Ball now at the 37. So it was actually a 10-yard gain. 1st and 10 for Wekiva at the 37-yard line. Davis goes back to work. Out of now the 2-back set. Benjamin in motion. Now it's a 1-back set as Gay comes up line. And that's Bennett catching the ball on the near sideline. And he does a dance, swivels down that sideline, picking up about 20 extra yards, averting that initial would-be contact. They'll take it into West Orange territory.
And on the carry for a big Mustang first down into Warrior territory. And that took the ball from the 37 of Wekiva territory all the way down to the 34 of West Orange territory. Big pickup there, and the Mustangs pick up 1st and 10.
29 yards to be exact. Handoff again. Not nearly as many, but certainly efficient on first down. About 4 yards. And that was Robinson, number 8. So that'll bring up 2nd and 6 from the West Orange 30. Wekiva trailing 7 to 6. They had a 6-0 lead at halftime. Bennett scoring on an 80-yard pass from Davis, 5:31 first quarter. First play from scrimmage, an 80-yard sweep and run from Devontae Adderson, the PAT from Ramirez, putting West Orange ahead 7 to 6. Wekiva trying to answer, so far looking impressive, as Davis finds another receiver, and it won't be a first down, but it'll get him close, so it'll bring up 3rd and short. And Davis doing an excellent job tonight in his return from injury. He was unable to go last week, suffered an injury in the second game. That was Gay with the reception.
Anthony Gay picks up the yardage to get it to 3rd and 1. The ball at the Warrior 25.
Running that one back set. Got receivers lined up behind each other, but they hand it off. That's Bennett, breaks the initial wave, still motoring, and into the end zone. 13 to 7, Wekiva, 8:03, third quarter. So Bennett with the second touchdown of the game. They line him up next to Davis in the running back position, and he does not disappoint. Give your offensive lineman credit. They blew open a hole, a very large hole, 25 yards later, and Wekiva has the 12-7 lead.
Neil, I have that as number 8, Robinson.
Oh, it was 8. Okay, excuse me.
Robinson on the carry for a 29-yard run into the end zone for a Mustang touchdown. Of course, the band is off during the third quarter, so you'll just have to hum the fight song.
Nonetheless, the end result is the same, and this is Fritchley coming in. Nope, no PAT. They're going to go for the 2 PAT. Davis with motion and tipped, and so the score remains 12-7.
And the 2-point conversion attempt is tipped away by the Warrior defense. The score remains 12-7. With just under 8 minutes remaining in the third quarter.
And so, Mark, I think what you really got to take out of that, obviously, Wekiva back in the lead, 12-7, 7:40 remaining. However, I think even more so, at least at this point, is they got hit in the mouth. They got hit hard. The first play from scrimmage, a 70-yard sweep and run from Anderson, takes all the momentum out that they had gained in the first half, and they come back 80 yards, 6 plays, and retake the lead.
Yeah, and the irony, Neil, is that 24-yard touchdown run is the shortest touchdown run we've had all game by far. It's the only touchdown we've had that was on the same side of the field it started.
Yeah, that's true, although the first touchdown was actually a pass, but yes, it's the shortest touchdown in terms of distance by far, as Wekiva kicks it off. Fritchley. West Orange receives at around the 15, trying to sweep up the middle. Still on his feet. Nice run back. About 20 yards, and West Orange will start 1st and 10 at their own 40. Could have been a lot worse from the West Orange perspective. 7:25 remaining, as we told you at the beginning of this quarter. Both these teams 1 and 2. Those records are somewhat deceiving in terms of the quality. These are both playoff caliber teams. Both teams, though, have taken on a schedule among the top 20, not just in the class, in their classes. Wekiva 6A, West Orange 7A, but in the state, as there's a handoff, and that's Amons again. He busts through that middle. And it will be an efficient run on 1st down, 4 yards, actually 6 yards.
Jaden Ammons with a gain of 6 on the play. That takes the ball out to the Warriors' own 46-yard line, 2nd and 4.
And as you just heard Mark say, that's Mark Barchi, who's also the public address announcer. I'm Neil Fisher. That brings up 2nd and 4. as West Orange out of the one back set. And the quick pass from Riley finds the arms of
Pass complete to Larry Miles. Stop made by Jaden
Miles.
Smith. And that will actually be a no gain on the play. Perhaps a gain of 1. 3rd and 3 coming up for the Warriors from their own 47.
So another critical third down, actually the first critical third down in this half. Neither team had a third down on their first possession. West Orange going trips on the far sideline, single on the near, and they'll hand the ball off, and that's going nowhere. Stacked up in the middle, a horde of Mustangs. Wekiva reading that play from the beginning, and down goes the running back. That was Amond. And
Hammonds on the carry for no gain on the play. 4th and 3 now coming up for West Orange. So you have to believe, if wisdom is the better part of valor here, that West Orange will punt the ball away.
yeah, and now they bring the punting team on. So give Wekiva's defense credit. I mentioned on that last possession when they score, it was really an answering how do you react when you get punched in the mouth. And certainly from the offensive standpoint, they answered with a resounding yes. Now the defense follows up that answer with their own resounding yes. Approaching 5 minutes in the third quarter, and a high snap opportunity for Wekiva. The run is on, and boy, getting rid of that was Ramirez, although I think he would have been better off just throwing it. He punted that. He was like 2/3 of the way with his back to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, he would have been better off to just get an incomplete pass. But nevertheless, Wekiva will take it, and that takes us to the midpoint of the third quarter. The high snap and ensuing punt will give the Mustangs excellent field position for their upcoming drive. Ball spotted at the 30-yard line of West Orange territory. And as we come to the midpoint of the third quarter, we will pause for an official timeout.
So we'll be back, 12-7, Wekiva with the lead. First home game, third quarter. Can they up that lead?
For those of you here at the stadium, we'd like to remind you, if you are depending on a ride to get home from tonight's game, make sure you give them a call right now if you haven't already done so, and let them know that we are going into the second half of the third quarter. 5 minutes to go there in the third quarter, so they should be on their way to come and pick you up, and we appreciate your cooperation in helping our administrators to clear the stadium promptly after the conclusion of tonight's game. So thanks for your patience as we took care of a little business with our live fans here at Mustang Field. Again, 5:06 to go here in the third quarter. Mustangs enjoying a 5-point lead at the water break. And, Neil, I know that this has been Coach Schwartz's bane for a couple of seasons now, and I don't want to lay, all of the responsibility at the feet of the kicker, but when you're missing extra points and then when you're not getting the makeup extra points, what it effectively means is that tie goes to the opponent. It means you've got to get one more score than the opponent does.
Yeah, and you also saw you wind up having to chase points. Wekiva going for the 2-point conversion on its last touchdown. Nonetheless, this has been a defensive-oriented game, and Wekiva's defense has been a little bit better than West Orange's. That fumble on the snap, which put Wekiva in this golden position to up that lead to at least 3 scores, or at least a touchdown in a 2-point conversion, was the third turnover for West Orange. To be honest, that was a gift. Wekiva, though, did have a hand in the first 2, an interception and a fumble. Out of the 2-back set, they go back to the ground. And not much doing there. Actually, nothing. They tried the left side between the center and the guard. And we have a player down over at Wekiva's 5-yard line. He's facing on his stomach. And now I see the cheerleaders taking a knee. The Wekiva cheerleaders who are, of course, in front of us. 12-7 the score, but of course, Mark, right now, more importantly, is the injured player as he's being tended to by the West Orange medical staff. So, and you know, football is a great game, Mark. We, of course, down here in Florida, I would say it's the sport of kings. And I, you know, as a former player, of course, I never went past the high school level, but I did play in high school. Really sent me a lot of life lessons. But, you know, unfortunately, football is a contact sport, and injuries are a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely, Neil. And I mean, you always hate to see this, but it's always great to see the athletic training teams out there. And, you know, they're always ready to make sure that the players stay safe and that any injury that they might sustain doesn't get further exacerbated. And so, of course, they're always going to take the maximum precaution, check for mobility issues, check for any sort of potential spinal issues, check for concussion protocol. They have their protocols in place to make sure that our players remain safe, or at least as safe as possible, even in light of the obvious physical nature of the game.
Yeah, and that goes back to a cliche, might be a cliche, but it really is true. Discretion, the better part of valor. Of course, we're not sure what's going on. We don't even know who the player is who is injured. But certainly they are taking their time down there. So a quick scoring recap. Obviously 12-7. It's been defensive oriented. Wekiva scoring first. An 80-yard bulk down the sideline. Tyree Davis returning from an injury. He did not play last week against Lake Minneola. He was hurt during the second game against Ocoee. A 4 or 5 yard screen pass turned into an 80-yard pass. Give Davis credit. He set up Bennett to be able to make a couple of moves. He was down the sideline, weaved at about the 30. 80 yards later, Wekiva with the 6-0 lead. The PAT went wide left. West Orange answered on its first play from scrimmage at the start of the second half. Devontae Anderson lining up on the far right.
To the press box, please. Administrative assistance to the press box.
Devontae Anderson lining up to the far right. He took the handoff on a sweep and pretty much looked like a replay of Bennett's run. Once he got to the sideline, a couple of shake and bake moves after he turned upfield during the first 7-8 yards, and he was down the sideline. The PAT from Ramirez was good, put West Orange up 7-6, and Wekiva coming back with a quick and decisive answer. 6 plays, 80 yards, capped off by Jamarian Robinson going 25 yards straight up the middle. The wide receiver / running back lined up in the running back position this time. And he got a huge hole from the center of the line and bolted into the end zone. The 2 PAT, a pass was no good. West Orange's defense doing an excellent job tipping it at the line of scrimmage, and that's where we stand now, 12-7 with 4:52 remaining. Wekiva getting possession of the ball at the West Orange 30-yard line following a high snap on West Orange's attempted punt. A 17-yard loss as the punt went over Ramirez's head, and of course we now have an injury down around the West Orange 5-yard line. As we said, we can't even see the player right now, let alone what the injury is. Let's hope for the best. And so if you did turn in this evening at 7 o'clock, first of all, thank you. This is Wekiva's first home game. We are at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium.
Well, in fairness, if you tuned in at 7 o'clock, you got a blank screen for an
and that's
hour.
what I was going to say. We did not We were not on the air because the game was delayed about an hour due to weather. There was lightning in the area, so it was a late night to start with, and of course, we are gonna be even later now with this injury. As I said before, though, it's more important to take our time, make sure the player, whoever he might be, is properly tended to. The injury is first and foremost the concern. So I'm Neil Fisher, along with Mark Barchi. We do appreciate your patience during this stoppage. 4:52 remaining in the third quarter, 12-7 lead for Wekiva, and what's been a defensive battle, pretty much both teams going back and forth, play for play, except for one play, which has put Wekiva in that lead, has been stopped due to an injury around the 5-yard line of West Orange.
Again, we appreciate your patience bearing with us here as our training team tends to the injured player for West Orange. And you may hear some cheering in the background there. That we actually had a second medical issue with one of our fans that occurred here on the home side. It looked like perhaps a heat exhaustion issue, and so they are okay now, with some help getting cooled off with our administrative team taking care of that situation, while our athletic training team takes care of the situation on the field. So again, we're paused here with 4 minutes, 52 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Wekiva has been in the end zone twice. Big plays both of those times. One more than half the length of the field on a completion to Bennett. And then most recently, of course, the running play from about 24 yards out by Robinson. Neither of those converting the PAT. And so that gives Wekiva their 12-point advantage, or a 5-point advantage on a 12-7 score.
At the West Orange, when the game does resume, Wekiva will have first down, 1st and 10 at the West Orange 30. So obviously an opportunity to up that lead to 3 scores. Even a field goal gives you a touchdown and 2-point lead. 2-point conversion lead. While we got a break, let's take a look at some of the other sports. Of course, volleyball, they're 7 games into their season. And give me just one moment here while we bring that up.
Yes, and I also have...
here we go. So, of course, they played last Tuesday night against Horizon and last night against University from Orange City. They will be back in action. This is the volleyball team next week on the 19th against Edgewater, an away game. And then Evans at home on the 21st, 19th being a Tuesday, the 21st being a Thursday. And then the last week of September, they have 2 games against Cypress Creek on the 27th. That's Wednesday. And then, boom, both those games are away. Of course, we also have bowling, swimming as well.
Yes, and girls golf, actually. I just got an
Yes.
update earlier today that the girls golf team beat Edgewater and Ocoee September 13th. That was yesterday in a tri-match for girls golf, and that gives them a 3-1 overall record. They'll next play Monday against Boone, at Boone, on September 18th. So now we have emergency vehicles on scene here. We have an Alpha unit that has arrived. Obviously, we, of course, don't know exactly what's going on the field, but from what we can surmise, it does appear that the injured player is conscious and alert, but the athletic training team, out of evidence of caution, has engaged immobilization protocol on, obviously possible suspicion of potential head or spinal injury where immobilization is important. And, of course, that's where they call in the EMTs to bring the necessary equipment to make sure that they can move him safely in a way that we would not be able to do using the equipment that we have here on site. So that's what we were waiting for, was for the EMTs to arrive. And you can see that they are right now. So
and you can also see that they brought the gurney out to further emphasize your point, Mark. Even if it is a minor injury, and of course we're not speculating, but this is standard procedure. Regardless of the severity, you use that gurney to keep the player's neck, keep the neck motionless. You don't want the neck or the back or any part of the spine to be moving.
Yeah, and you're going to keep that protocol engaged until you have a chance to run x-rays and confirm what injury may exist and the extent of it. And so obviously that's where you need those first responders in addition to our athletic training staff and the West Orange athletic training staff to assist. Obviously, though, that does cause a more extensive delay than a typical injury timeout, but it is a delay that is well worth taking.
Yeah, once again, and you can't stress this enough, the injury and tending to the kids are first and foremost. The game is secondary now. And on top of that, you're talking about young men. You don't want to do anything that's going to cause physical problems later in the life or carry on. So once again, with 4:52 remaining in the third quarter, the Wekiva Mustangs, the home team, Baptist Orthodontic Stadium, the site, with a 12-7 lead over the West Orange Warriors. Wekiva will have possession of the ball at the West Orange 30, 1st and 10 when we resume. Obviously a defensive battle, as now the player has been placed on the gurney.
Richard Polite being escorted off the field by our first responders. We want to thank them for coming out to lend their expertise and skill, as well as our athletic training staffs from both West Orange and Wekiva, and our best wishes to Richard for a quick and speedy recovery. And we, of course, appreciate everyone's patience while we attend to those very important issues.
Yeah, and I also want to point out, as everybody in the stadium is giving a round of applause for the effort, West Orange did come out to see their teammate off as he was being started to begin his journey on the gurney towards the ambulance. So let's hope for the best. Again, let's hope that they brought out the gurney simply as protocol. Of course, anytime you have an injury in any sport, it's now protocol to bring a gurney out, and again, discretion, the better part of valor. It's better to take the few extra minutes. I guess we've had about a 12-minute delay, and make sure that your player is secure. Again, isn't moving his back, isn't moving his neck or his spine.
So we'll have a little conference between the coaches and officials here at about the 40-yard line, as along with our athletic director staff, as they try to determine how to get things back underway. I don't know that that was a long enough disruption that we would need to go through a warm-up protocol again. I do know from past experience when we have had extended disruptions. We had one last year when the power went out for about half an hour,
Right.
And we had a game suspension. We've had others where we've had lightning delays that have delayed a game for over an hour. There is a certain threshold at which they will require the players to stretch and warm up again before they go back to playing, so that we don't end up with even more injuries. But I don't know that we've crossed that threshold yet, but I suspect that that may be what the officials and coaches are meeting about.
So we do have some other scores. Of course, these might not be up to the minute, but they'll give you an idea. Of course, the big game, Wekiva, member of District 6A6. The big game tonight is Edgewater taking on Jones, not only the two favorites, but both those teams top 10 in the state, every statewide poll for Max Preps. Starting with Max Preps, they're also both top 5 in the Orlando Sentinel Super 16. Jones, of course, making it to the semifinals last year. Edgewater with the 31-14 lead. Olympia and Ocoee, ironically enough, the two teams Wekiva played in their first 2 weeks. Olympia with the 20-17 lead. Lick, Mineola, and Eastridge, they have not begun yet. Their game has been postponed. Actually postponed until tomorrow. Lake Brantley, who's also on Wekiva's schedule, they played Lake Mary. They fell 35-2. So that might be some hope for Wekiva. And again, remember, this game started an hour late due to the weather. So you probably have got quite a games that have already finished, as we are now 10:15 p.m. Winter Park, a 44-0 winner over University. Oviedo, a 42-35 winner over Heritage. Lake Howe, Lyman with the 39-10 victory. Haggerty eking out a 14-10 victory over Timber Creek, a battle between East Side schools. Lake Nona, an impressive 46-0 victory over Cypress Creek. Dr. Phillips and Windermere, that game was postponed to tomorrow, as was Osceola and Lakeland. Windermere Prep in Crystal River as well. University, Orange City, and Key West. So again, of course, this is a Thursday night game, because tomorrow is what exactly is tomorrow called, Mark, for Orange County? A teacher's work day, or
no? It's a full-blown holiday. Teachers are off as well.
Okay. Well, no classes tomorrow, so that's why all of Orange County are playing their games tonight on Thursday. All the other counties are playing last night, but as I just read, there are a number of schools, a handful of schools, which are not playing tonight due to the weather. And again, we are still waiting to start this game, or at least find out what the next step is. A 12-7 lead for Wekiva against West Orange. This is Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, Wekiva's home facility. Both teams come in 1-2, so they both need wins. But more importantly, we have just had an injury. We have had a stoppage for roughly 20 minutes now. Who was the player? Okay, Richard Polite, not sure what exactly happened, but Wekiva was lining up, ready to run the play 1st and 10 at the West Orange 30, and when the play, and when I looked over to my left, Richard Polite was laying down on the ground on the left hash line at the 5-yard line. He has since been lifted onto a gurney and taken into an ambulance. The ambulance is still here, parallel to the end zone along the track. And of course, that is the most important. The priority now is making sure that Richard Polite, the wide receiver, senior 6'1", is okay physically and gets tended to, and make sure that his injury is minimized. Certainly don't want him to have to deal with the effects of this long term. So if you just tuned in, I'm Neil Fisher. My partner, Mark Barchi, is also the public address announcer here, and now the ambulance is starting to move to back up, making its way behind the end zone. Hey, Coach, do you know what happened? Oh, you cramped? It was cramped. Okay, and we have just received word. We're not sure exactly what the injury was per se, but he was. The reason that we did have such a long delay, the reason that he was put on the gurney and loaded into the ambulance is more precautionary. So certainly that was the word that we were hoping for. Oh, they had 2 medical? Yeah. Was it involving the players? Well, we had the one right here. They're not talking about this one, right? Okay. And we have also just received word that there was a second medical emergency. We don't know anything more, which has further delayed the game. Okay. Again, of course, you never want to speculate, Mark, about what's going on, but we did receive the word on Richard Polite that it was mostly precautionary. We're not sure what the exact injuries were, and now we just received from our official in the booth that there was a second medical emergency. EMTs were called upon to treat an individual. And now we see, as we look down at the Wekiva sideline, the players are running up and down, trying to stretch out. I see the ambulance. It's now making its way towards the exit of Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. Of course, Richard Polite. Again, the whole series of incidences started with him falling down at the 5-yard line. Wekiva was about to run a play. So actually, the ambulance is not going to leave the stadium quite yet. It was making its way towards the exit, but now it is stopped behind the West Orange bench and next to the grandstands that are holding the West Orange fans. Again, we do not want to speculate. We do not want to give you inaccurate information as far as that second injury. All we know is that it is a medical emergency that was tended to, and several paramedics were called upon.
So as Neil started to mention earlier, we've got some score stream updates coming in from around the county. Edgewater over Jones 31-14 in the fourth quarter. Of course, Wekiva West Orange leading 12-7 here in the third. Olympia 27-17 over Ocoee. Last update came in the third quarter. Winter Park 44-0 final over University. Lake Mary 35-2 over Lake Brantley. Of course, Lake Brantley will be coming here to Wekiva next week as we get ready to celebrate homecoming. Lake Nona 46-0 over Cypress Creek. Windermere DP is actually scheduled for Friday, so one exception there to the standard schedule. So yeah,
that's for Orange County.
Neil, in 17 years of doing this here at Wekiva and several more before that at other schools, I don't think I've ever seen 3 medical emergencies happen at the same time. One is a direct result of the play, one on the sideline, one in the stands.
I know one was we weren't talking about, but we did have a. I'm taking a leap here, but I do think the individual was a Wekiva High School student. Being there, he was sitting in front of us. He looked like he was a teenager. Looked like he was, again, I don't want to say specifically what the cause was, but it did at least, again, we're only 3 rows behind him. It did look like he was having some type of issue with the heat. Several of the other fans were waving papers around him. And then, of course, as we mentioned, we just received the word that there was a second medical emergency which the EMTs had to tend to, which were called upon, and the ambulance is still over there. We can't really see anything. It's behind the West Orange bench.
And to clarify, Neil, I misspoke earlier. There is school tomorrow. It is not a student holiday nor a teacher holiday. It is just that there are no after-school activities because it is Rosh Hashanah.
Ah, okay. It was for Rosh Hashanah.
Yes, it is. Yes, and that is the reason. It is to allow our students who celebrate that holiday to begin their festivities at sundown. But the school day is not impacted. It is only after-school activities.
And for those of you who are not familiar, Rosh Hashanah is the Jewish New Year. Rosh Hashanah is the Jewish New Year, followed by Yom Kippur, which takes place 10 days later. It is not like the secular New Year. It's a time when you go to synagogue, and it's really about asking for forgiveness from God. Again, we're not religious, but that is the tenet. The 2 holidays together, Rosh Hashanah, which the literal translation is head of the year, and Yom Kippur, literal translation is Day of Atonement. They're called the High Holy Days. And again, Mark, I don't mean to belittle you. Of course not. You've been a great friend. But I can tell you, as someone who does celebrate those 2 holidays, you're not really celebrating.
Right. Well, yes, observed, I should say.
You observe them.
But yes, but that is the reason, of course. So the school day is not impacted tomorrow, but after-school activities are generally discouraged and suspended so that those who do observe those holidays can observe them with their families and their communities. And so, again, that's why most of the football games happening in Central Florida tonight or this week are happening on Thursday rather than Friday. What we're understanding is information is coming into the press box is that the medical emergency is actually not on the sideline involved with any of the players, but is actually related to something that has happened in the stands. Again, by complete coincidence, we had one medical emergency occur on the field as a direct result of the play. We had one medical issue, and it did not escalate
which
into
took place in front of
right,
us
which was on the home side, which did not escalate into needing first responders, but was still something that our administrators had to attend to. And now a third medical emergency that has occurred on the visitor side. Again, Neil, you and I both have been doing this for a long time. We've seen injuries, we've seen alpha units on scene, but I don't know that I've ever seen 3 issues happen at the same time.
Yeah, I don't remember there ever being 2 issues at the same time. I can think of some games where you have 2 at different times, but never 2 at the same time, let alone 3. It is a human night. Anybody who's lived in Florida for probably more than 2 weeks, this is standard weather down here, even though it is mid-September. And of course, you have to be careful and pay attention to the heat, even if the injuries are not heat-related or the result of heat. You can certainly exacerbate the injury with the heat. And I'm not sure when we're going to get ready to play, but Wekiva has now gathered at about their 35-yard line, and they're chanting. They're doing the rah-rah like they do before they take onto the field. If you tuned in late, Wekiva with a 12-7 lead, 4:52 remaining in the third quarter. Wekiva ran a play, 1st and 10 from their own 30, looking golden opportunity after a snap went high on a West Orange punt to increase the lead to 3 scores. Worst case scenario, a field goal puts you up by a touchdown and 2 points. Richard Polite, number 14, the senior wide receiver, fell down at the 5-yard line on the left hash mark facing the end zone. And then we had a couple of other medical emergencies, one on each side of the field in the stands. Fortunately, the one right in front of us, we're in the press box on Wekiva's side of the field. Of course, that's the field, the side where you enter and exit. It did not require, it was something that could have been serious if it was not tended to, but fortunately it did not require EMT attention. The incident on the other side of the field did, though, and the ambulance is still there behind the West Orange bench and next to the West Orange grandstands.
So again, 4:52 to go in the third quarter. The players on the sidelines just trying to stay loose as we wait for play to resume here. The fans here at Baptiste Orthodox Stadium or Mustang Field are certainly being very patient with us. We don't have quite the thick crowds that we had at the beginning of the game, but we have quite a number of the faithful of both Wekiva and West Orange that are sticking it out with us here at 10:30 at night and still have another, 16 minutes and 52 seconds to play here.
And now looks like we're about to get ready, Mark. The players have stepped back onto the field. Again, 12-7, Wekiva with the lead. They just took the lead on their last possession. A 6-yard drive, a 6-play drive, 80 yards, capped off with Robinson bolting through the middle. Give the offensive line credit. They blew open a hole 25 yards, which answered to West Orange. The defense then got a 3-and-out, a high snap. Ramirez, the punter, couldn't handle it. I mean, it was like 10 feet over his head, and under pressure, he tried to kick it. His back was about 2/3 of the way turned towards the offensive line, and that's where they tackled him. And so we're back about to begin now. 4:52 remaining, and 1st and 10 at the Wekiva 30 with Davis, the quarterback, returning from an injury as well. That's Bennett in motion, working out of the two back set, swings it out to Filius, and I think that was probably the long delay.
Pass intended for Tyree Filius falls incomplete. That'll bring up 3rd and 10 for the Mustangs. As a reminder, we are Wekiva with possession. That was 2nd and 10, now 3rd and 10, with the ball at the 30-yard line of West Orange territory. 4:46 to go in the third quarter.
Yeah, and this is also Wekiva's first home game of the season. Now, as I mentioned, you got a 5-point lead, so even a field goal would certainly change the dynamics of this game. But you still need to gain at least 10 yards to get into Nate Fritchley's range to have a 50-50 shot. So you'd have to get the first down as well. Davis not having a particularly great night, maybe not even average in terms of completion percentage, but he has come up big when Wekiva needed plays, and he'll go back to work. Plenty of time, and that was not his fault, right off the fingertips of Smith.
The pass intended for Jabari Smith falls incomplete. That now brings up 4th and 10 for the Mustangs from the Warrior 30. So, Neil, to your earlier point, I feel like this is no man's land. It's obviously 4-down territory. It's too far along to make punting worth it. It's not far enough to make a field goal try worth it. So I would be very surprised if we see Coach Schwartz do anything other than try to gain the 10 yards on the ground.
Yeah, I think he's also gone for the first down conversion 3 times tonight on 4th. So, if you go for it 3 times, you might as well go for it the 4th.
Yeah, we're playing by Madden NFL PlayStation rules at this point.
So, Davis lines up, 1 back set. That's Filius, 2 receivers high, 3 receivers high, 1 low. On the left hash mark, Davis with time. Now the pocket collapses. Slip screen. And this is going to gain a first down. That's Robinson, right place, right time, perfect execution of the route. And then he gained about another 5 yards after catching it. And that's exactly what the doctor called from the Wekiva perspective.
Jamarian Robinson on the carry for the Mustangs, and he picks up, he needed 10 yards, he got 14. That takes the ball down to the 16-yard line of West Orange territory, and it's good for a Mustang first down.
And what's important about that, obviously you get the first down, but you keep your momentum going. And, of course, we're coming off a very long delay as now the ambulance is making its way out. It's come down from the Wekiva stand as the game continues. Another hand up the middle.
Once again, it's Robinson on the carry.
He bangs ahead, lowers
Pick up a
the
5
shoulder.
that pulls the ball just almost to the 10-yard line. 2nd and 5 coming up for Wekiva.
Nothing fancy there, nothing complicated. That was about who got down lower at the line and got the shoulders into the chest. Now empty backfield, one back set. Phileas remains left. 3 receivers right, 1 left. And tipped away.
And there's the penalty marker that I think Wekiva was looking for.
Shakay Scott, the 5'9" sophomore, got a hand. Not sure if he committed the penalty. But
Pass intended for Smith. It falls incomplete. There is a penalty marker on the play. Defensive holding is called against the Warriors. So that is not quite the same as pass interference, but it is certainly related. It still gives the Mustangs what they were looking for,
yes,
because
first down.
That'll be half the distance to the goal, and that is enough for a Mustang first down. So in high school, there's no such thing as an automatic first down, but the yardage was sufficient anyway. First and goal now coming up for Wekiva.
Again, Wekiva took possession at the West Orange 30. Golden opportunity to get this lead up to 2 scores. They're up 12-7 as we approach the end of the third quarter, and that play's not going to go anywhere. Flags. So also just want to report the ambulance has officially left. And penalty against Wekiva.
Ball start is called against the Mustangs. That pulls the ball back 5 yards to the 10-yard line. Still first and goal for Wekiva.
10th penalty of the game for Wekiva, by the way.
And I have to thank my game official, Julius Walker, who's sitting here with me in the press box. There are 3 automatic first downs in high school football: roughing the passer, roughing the kicker, and roughing the snapper. Of course, there are a lot more than that in NFL, but in a lot of cases it ends up being a first down anyway just because of the sheer yardage.
So out of the shotgun again, as the cheerleaders are now getting back to work as well in front of us. Handoff. No, play. Yes, it was a handoff and a fumble. Miscommunication between the quarterback and the running back. And once again, an opportunity for Wekiva to do significant damage goes by the wayside.
Ball is fumbled. Powell Chestnut, I believe, is at the bottom of that pile. The Warriors come up with it, and that turns the ball over to West Orange. They took over with 1st and 10 from their own 11-yard line. So a loss of 1 and a loss of possession as Wekiva was knocking at the door there. They had 1st and goal twice in a row, and instead it will be a turnover. So Wekiva maintains a 5-point lead, but the momentum perhaps shifts to West Orange, who, of course, could take the lead with 1 score here. So this one is definitely not over yet. Although I guarantee you everybody who's out here tonight will sleep well.
Yeah, talked about it earlier tonight. Wekiva in that second game. We'll get back to that in a minute as the heat is on and Riley goes down. First sack of the game for Wekiva.
Sincere Edwards on the sack of Riley. That will pull the ball all the way back almost to the goal line. And it takes the ball the official spot at the 3, and so that will bring up, the original spot was at the 11, so that's a loss of 8. 2nd and 18 coming up for the Warriors.
So Sincere Edwards gets credit for that sack, but there were 3 defensive linemen who got in there. Riley wasn't going anywhere. And again, as Mark said, now from the 3-yard line, out of the end zone, here comes the heat again. Riley escapes, and he'll actually gain a yard, but certainly
Riley is run out of bounds by Omar Hayes for a short gain.
Excuse me, that's actually Brian Dillard. I'm not sure why why Riley was taken out, but that's number 16.
That pulls the ball
Brian
out
Dillard.
to about the 5-yard line for a gain of 2, and it brings up 3rd and 16 for the Warriors.
So the bottom line is 16 yards to go, deep in your end zone. Not just deep, but you're in the shadow of your end zone.
Yeah, well, and we saw one bad punt earlier tonight. That can be particularly disastrous when you're that far back. So
yeah, and that was I was actually going to mention that, Mark, that you're not only playing now to try to get out of the shadow of the end zone, but you have to think about 4th down in the punt.
The Warriors request their first timeout of the second half.
So I didn't get a chance to finish this. Didn't get a chance to finish talking about this after the fumble. Wekiva has been very up and down in terms of their turnovers against Olympia. Again, going back to their first game, they didn't have any fumbles. They only had 1 interception, so 1 turnover. Then Okoye was a complete disaster. Again, if you joined us late, Tyree Davis played that game with the leg injury. He suffered it on the very first series, and that might have had something to do with the 3 interceptions, but his teammates committed 6 fumbles, 3 were lost. Last week they came back, they rectified that. They only had 2 fumbles, lost 1. And so far tonight, until that fumble, they had not had any. But again, that was a fumble. It might just be 1 fumble, but boy, it was as critical as possible. You had a chance to take a 2-touchdown lead, and instead you're still only up by 5.
So critical 3rd down here.
3rd and 18.
West Orange would obviously like a first down, but they would settle for at least just taking some of the pressure off, and instead they're going to get a penalty, and false start is called against the Warriors. It'll be half the distance to the goal and a replay of 3rd down. So, Neil, everything I just said, they did the opposite of that. Instead, they get closer to their own goal line and have now even less room to maneuver.
The shadows have now grown longer. Out of the shotgun, snapping it into the end zone, and incomplete.
Pass intended for Jackson is broken up by Smith. That'll bring up 4th and right about 19 yards for the Warriors. So now exactly that scenario we talked about, Neil. You definitely don't go for it on 4th down here, but boy, is this a dangerous punting situation.
Yeah, and the reason it's so dangerous, and again, this is what we were talking about on that 3rd down play. You're not just thinking about the 3rd down play, you're thinking about 4th and setting up the punt. You don't have the normal distance. Punters like 15 yards to punt the ball. They take 3 yards to step into the ball. And so you're releasing the ball about 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And again, you want to do that so it doesn't get blocked. You only got about half that distance now. 43 seconds remaining, 3rd quarter. Wekiva 12-7 lead, and there's exactly why not having those full 15 yards to operate. There's the effect.
Well, that's one of those could have been better, could have been worse.
So Wekiva really flat out blew the opportunity to really put a stranglehold on this game in terms of the lead, but the defense rescues them, and they got a second opportunity as they take over possession at the 25 of West Orange. 36 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. I'm Neil Fisher. The other voice is Mark Barchis. Thank you for joining us on this Thursday night.
After the punt, the ball is spotted at the 15-yard line. Excuse me, the 25-yard line, I mean to say. Wekiva takes over from there with 1st and 10.
And so now if you're Wekiva, you might want to also start about taking some time off the clock, too. Maybe not with the same intensity or directness as you would say 3 or 4 minutes, but if you can get, based on what we've seen tonight, we've only seen 3 scores. So scoring is coming at a premium, and you might not, if you're West Orange, have enough time if you get that lead up to 8. That's Robinson, and he runs into the teeth of the West Orange defense. This is Wekiva's first home game, 4th game of the season, the first 3 on the road against, and actually you could say 4. The preseason game was on the road. That was all the way up in Gainesville against Buchholz. They took on Olympia, Ocoee in Lake Minneola. They beat Olympia, lost to Ocoee in Lake Minneola.
Takes us to the end of the third quarter, so the Mustangs will be looking at 2nd and 10 from their own 25-yard line, but headed the other direction when we return from the break. 12 minutes to go here, Mustangs up by 5. 12-7 your score with 12 minutes left to play here in week 4 of season 17. Mustang football action live from South Apopka.
And in the meantime, West Orange, right before we go to break here, they beat Oak Ridge in their first game and then lost to Apopka and Edgewater. We'll be back with that 4th quarter and see if Wekiva can hold on for its 2nd victory of the season.
So a fairly short break there. I think at this point everybody just wants to keep things moving as we get a QB keeper, or excuse me, a quick handoff to Anthony Gay. No gain on the play. That'll bring up 3rd and 10 for the Mustangs from their own 25.
And we did receive word that Edgewater did defeat Jones. That game has gone final 34-14 as Wekiva now faces a 3rd and 10. Ball at the 25-yard line, and we had the situation exactly as far as the yard line in the first half. You're now looking at a 42-yard field goal, which is too far for Fritchley, the field goal kicker. Davis, lots of time over the middle, and no flags. That was Benjamin, who was yet to make a catch. Couldn't see who the defender was, but he did an excellent job tipping the ball away.
Pass intended for Benjamin falls incomplete, deflected by the Warrior secondary, and that will bring up now 4th and 11 for the Mustangs.
And again, this is the exact reason that I brought up Nate Fritchley, probably as long as his 35. He's a very accurate kicker, but you can't count on him for a long distance. So you're now in no man's land. You can't really punt the ball. You'll probably punt it into the end zone. So Wekiva's going to go for it. Again, 2nd opportunity. They've started at least the West Orange 30. Chance to up a 5-point lead. 12-7 the score as we begin the 4th quarter. Davis out of the one-back set. Trips up high, under pressure, and he's got to throw that ball away, and it's caught.
Was he in bounds?
No, he was out of bounds. So
Pass
the ball
was
was
caught, but out of bounds.
So, and quite frankly, I just thought Davis was throwing that ball out to avoid the rush. I didn't even realize that he had a receiver there. That was Smith.
The pass intended for Jabari Smith. It falls incomplete. That turns the ball over on downs to West Orange.
So 11:05 remaining in the 4th quarter. Wekiva a 12-7 lead. They took that on their 2nd possession of the 3rd quarter. A 25-yard bolt straight up the middle by Jamarian Robinson, giving them that lead. And that lead taken at the 7:46 mark. So I would say right now, if you're going to make a general two-sentence description, offense has done just enough to get the lead, and defense has showed up with its A-plus game. And that's Tyree Davis, who was down. He's now up. And again, Davis was injured 2 weeks ago against Saco. He did play that whole game. He was significantly injured. Did have a hand in him throwing 3 interceptions, the most of his entire career. He was unable to play last week against Lake Minneola. And his backup is Enrique Archie. He played the whole game last week. He's a freshman. Had a solid game, especially for a freshman making his first start. We'll see if Tyree can come back. In the meantime, West Orange, 1st and 10 at its 25-yard line. They begin their possession with a handoff, trailing 12-7 as we drop under 11 minutes. And the West Orange band trying to urge their players on. They're on the far sideline, or the far end zone, the one next to State Route, the 414, as the play continues. And a completion, Riley to Hollinger.
Pass complete to Latori Hollinger. A stop made by Jabari Smith, but it's enough for a Warrior first down. The ball is spotted at the West Orange 38-yard line, 1st and 10. And again, we pause as we have a Warrior that is slow to get up. That looks like that is Hollinger,
who just caught the ball. So Hollinger coming into tonight's game, one of the three, you'd say the trio, the 3 amigos for West Orange. He has 12 receptions, 186 yards, 2 TDs. Miles, number 3, leads the team with 14 receptions, 195 yards, 1 TD. And then there's Bridgewater, 11 receptions. He has yet to score a touchdown. The lone touchdown scored by West Orange, though, tonight came on the feet of number 12, Devontae Anderson, the sophomore wide receiver, the first play from scrimmage. In the second half, an 70-yard sweep and run.
Latori Hollinger shaken up on the play, making his way off with the assistance of West Orange's athletic training team on his own power.
So in the meantime, West Orange, 1st and 10, back to work. Riley lines them up. 2 receivers each side, 1 back set out of the shotgun. No run, and under pressure, and down he goes from the blind side, but he had nowhere to go on the front side. And that was number 10. And I'm not sure who number 10.
That's Archie and Jefferson teaming up for the sack.
Archie's the backup quarterback.
And so that takes the ball back to the 27-yard line and brings up 2nd and long for the Warriors.
So again, defensive line collapsing, Riley nowhere to go, and now they're facing 2nd and long, 2nd and 19 to be exact. Nice pass, a nice catch. That'll get those 9 yards back, but still facing 3rd and long.
Pass complete to Bridgewater, stop made by Smith. That puts the ball back to the original line of scrimmage and brings up 3rd and 10 from the Warriors' own 38-yard line.
So again, thank you not only for joining us on this Thursday night, but for sticking it out with us. We know this game is heading towards almost 11 o'clock. We started late at 8. We had about a 20-minute, maybe even 25-minute delay due to injuries midway through the 3rd quarter. Riley going long and finds his man along that right sideline, snagged. And now the
Pass
West
is
Orange.
complete to Larry Miles. Stop made immediately by Kalen Meadows, but not before the Warriors pick up a first down in Mustang territory.
So we just mentioned it, Hollinger, Bridgewater, and Mile, the three amigos, and they have come up big here in this series.
Ball spotted at the 40-yard line, 1st and 10 West Orange.
Straight up behind the right side, and now West Orange starting to feel some mojo. They're starting to put together some plays of big impact.
Back-to-back first downs, and now the handoff. This one's not going quite as far. Woodson on, that is McCormick on the carry. Stop by Stevens. And looking to see whether there was a penalty marker at the end of that play. There was. Personal foul, face mask, called against the Mustang defense. That will add 15 yards to that play and, of course, bring up a West Orange first down. So now, Neil, finally, Wekiva actually got a stop, but they didn't do so legally, and so now 3 consecutive first downs for the Warriors, and all of a sudden, they're knocking at the door of taking the lead. Wekiva has led the entire game, but of course it only matters who's ahead when time runs out.
Yeah, ball at the 11-yard line. That's 19 yards in total.
And now we have a penalty marker on the play. False start called against the Warriors. 5 yards returned to the Mustangs, and that'll bring up 1st and 15. So, of course, the irony when you have back-to-back penalties like that is that it doesn't undo the first down. So it's still first down, but now it's 1st and 15.
Well, it still goes against Wekiva because there is a 10-yard difference in West Orange's favor. But, yeah, Wekiva has now committed 11 penalties. Riley back into the corner, into the end zone, the side of the end zone.
Pass intended for Hollinger, falls incomplete. Smith on the coverage for the Mustangs, and it brings up 2nd and 15 for the Warriors.
Just under 8 minutes remaining in this ball game. 12-7 lead for Wekiva. They have led for all but about two and a half minutes. Or I should say they have never trailed for about 2.5 minutes. West Orange, though, knocking on the door after a couple of really big plays, actually 3 consecutive big plays. The handoff to Hollinger, a sweep, which they scored their lone touchdown on, and they'll gain some good yardage. Won't get them a first down, and that was actually, that was McCormick, number 21. Not 1, but it will set up a 3rd and mid-range.
Keandre McCormick on the carry, and he picks up 5 yards to get the ball back to the original line of scrimmage. 3rd and 10 coming up from the 12-yard line for the Warriors.
So actually it's still 3rd and long, but obviously 10 is better than 15. One back set, McCormick stays, trips to the near side, single up high to snap out of the shotgun. They go right, and as you like to say, Mark, it looked like the receiver zigged and Riley, the quarterback, zagged.
That's exactly right. Pass intended for Miles, falls incomplete, and that'll bring up 4th and 10 for the Warriors. So, I mean, this is an obvious 4-down situation. The field goal doesn't do anything particularly useful for you here, especially with time of possession being what it is. And so I will fully expect West Orange to try to pick up the 4th down conversion here. Huge play for the Wekiva defense.
Yeah, huge play for both sides.
Yeah, really.
And remember,
this is potentially an outcome determinative play.
And West Orange does not have to get into the end zone. 10 yards takes them to the 1-yard line. I know it's not much, but Riley under pressure, steps up, throws, jump shot. And again, Wekiva's defense stands tall, getting the pressure and forcing the incomplete pass.
Pass intended for Hollinger is broken up for the Mustangs by Kalen Meadows, and so that will turn the ball over on downs to Wekiva. They take over with 1st and 10 at their own 12-yard line. And so Wekiva can breathe a little bit now. I mean, that's not to say that this game is over by any stretch of the imagination. Still 7 minutes to play. Still very much a one-score game, and of course, you know, a turnover can turn the tides in an instant, so you don't want to start writing your letters home yet, but that is a huge momentum shift for Wekiva to pick up the 4-down stop there.
Yeah, and Davis is not going to come back into the game. He's sitting right in front of us on the bench next to Coach Pat Pinkney, or excuse me, Pankey. Pankey,
yes.
Yes, he has his shoulder pads off, so that puts Enrique Archie, who we said played all of last weekend, And on the first run, first play, and actually, no, that's not. They're not going with Archie. That's Robinson.
Yeah, Jamarian Robinson picks up the carry and almost has a first down. He has 9 yards on the play. Brings up 2nd and 1 from the Mustangs' 21-yard line.
So for the last 6.5 minutes, it might even be Wekiva's last offensive possession. They're going Wildcat with Jamarian Robinson. Of course, he's listed as a wide receiver / running back. Certainly at least one play in. Hard to argue. A 9-yard gain, as Mark just said, setting up 2nd and short. Ball at the 20-yard line now. And again, now if you're Wekiva, you don't necessarily have to score. You just need to take some time off that clock and regain field position. Of course, if you score, that certainly would put you in a very comfortable position, even a field goal. But with only 19 points scored through 3.5 quarters, getting possession in itself, it's just been very hard to move that ball tonight.
Flag on the play.
So you're playing field position as much as trying to score.
Prior to the snap, illegal procedure is called against the Mustangs. That's 5-yard penalty from the previous spot, and it'll be a replay of 2nd down, but we've passed the midpoint of the 4th quarter, and that means it's time for an official timeout. One more water break for the gentlemen on the field, and we have a 12-7 lead for Wekiva as we head into our last official timeout of the game. 5:53 to go in the 4th quarter here in week 4 of season 17 at Mustang Field. For those of you here in the stadium, once again, we want to remind you that we are headed into the last 6 minutes of the game, so please make sure that your ride is on their way, and they will be ready to pick you up immediately after the conclusion of the game, especially because we were so delayed, both due to the injuries and due to the lightning delay that we had to start the game. Our administrators will be looking to close the facility down immediately after the conclusion of tonight's game, and we appreciate your cooperation in promptly making your way to your vehicles or to your ride and exiting after the conclusion of tonight's game.
So as I was saying, Mark, if you can get that ball even down to the West Orange 40, that really puts the onus on West Orange to change what has been a very lackluster performance on offense. As the pitch, the forward pitch, that was Robinson. They tried to reverse it in terms of the players. Gay taking the snap and Robinson getting the pitch. That went nowhere. West Orange read it from the beginning. And now Wekiva is going to be facing 3rd and long. I think that yardage was lost there.
Bennett on the carry. That was Shuri and
13.
Scott on the stop. And the Mustangs are back to the 11-yard line. That'll bring up 3rd and 11 for the Mustangs. So, the 5-yard penalty and then another 5-yard loss on that play now put Wekiva's gone nowhere but backwards after the first play of this drive.
And they're going to try to pass, avoiding the sack the first wave, but not the second time. Ripped down to the ground. That was number 11, El Ghazali, the strong safety. So a blitz pays off.
Smith on the carry. And El Ghazali on the stop. No gain on the play. The run was able to get back to the line of scrimmage, but no further, and so that'll bring up 4th and 11 for the Mustangs. And, Neil, this seems like a pretty clear punting situation.
Yeah.
Wekiva has got to be more in a prevent defense kind of mode here right now, leading by 5 with 4:42 on the clock. The clock is your friend right now, but boy, do you need field position to swing in your favor. And so,
yeah, and again, that goes back to what I was saying. Of course, you like to score on that last possession, but even if you can get the ball to the 40, that changes the field position. And yes, we have a stoppage due to an injury. It's over on the left side there at about the 10-yard line. It was one of the West Orange players who made the tackle. I believe, is that number 5?
That's 8.
8, okay.
So that'll be
Powell Chestnut.
J.P. Powell Chestnut is shaken up on the play after participating in the stop there on the previous play. He makes his way off on his own power with some assistance from the West Orange training team. Again, 4th and 11 coming up for Wekiva from their own 11-yard line. So this is a very critical punt for Wekiva because field position could make all the difference. I mean, obviously, we've seen some big play scores tonight from pretty much anywhere on the field, but certainly if Wekiva's defense continues to perform at the level that they have for most of the game, field position could be absolutely critical here, so we'll see where this punt takes them.
Yeah.
And it takes them exactly the wrong place. The snap is over the head of Nathan Fritchley, and so that will be a safety. 2 points added to the Warrior total. That closes the game to a 3-point game, and it also means that West Orange will receive a free kick.
Yeah, and Mark, I was just going to say that changes the dynamics of scoring. It's now a field goal ties the ball game. And now, remember, when you're receiving the ball due to a safety, the kicking team does not kick off. They punt the ball.
Right, yes, that's a good call out.
And usually punts are not nearly as long as kickoffs.
Correct. So, yeah, that's a subtle difference in rules there.
So talked about this 2 weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago. I've been talking about it all game. 2 weeks ago, Wekiva could not hold on to the ball. They had 6 fumbles, 3 were lost. They came back last week against Lake Minneola. Even though they lost, they did a much better job owing 2 fumbles, losing 1. And tonight they've continued that trend. That's only their 2nd fumble, but both of them have been just killers, donkey kicks to the gut. The defense bailed them out on that first fumble. They took over on Wekiva's side of the field. This time, the defense had nothing to do with it, and it directly leads to 2 points.
So now we'll get the place kick ready.
And I guess I was wrong. I guess at the high school level, you do not punt the ball after a safety.
Yeah, you have the option there. So Wekiva will opt for the place kick. Here comes Fritchley. Gets a good piece of it. That's going to go just about as well as it could. Takes a favorable Wekiva bounce, gets picked up by Hollinger at about the 15. And he'll get about 15 yards on the return, but that's not bad as far as field position. That's, in fact, probably better than what Wekiva would have gotten if they had punted from where they were. So maybe there's a silver lining to this, Neil. West Orange picks up 2 points, but Wekiva actually gets an advantage in where they put West Orange for field position compared to what would have happened with the original punt.
Yeah, and again, Fritchley has not had a good night. He missed a PAT, and more importantly, directly related to this, to that kickoff, they've been short. So West Orange came up. They were not expecting such a long kick, and he popped it over them. So now you're looking at, I think if you're West Orange, you have to get the ball to the 25 to have a reasonable shot to start thinking about field goals. And West Orange recovers at 61.
The ball is fumbled by Hollinger, but recovered by Elijah Mays. So it'll be a loss of 4 on the play for the Warriors. They'll come back to the 26-yard line, and it'll now be 2nd and 14, but the Warriors remain in possession.
3rd fumble of the game for West Orange, and boy, could have been disaster there. Wekiva would have been in the position to run out the clock. Still, you're looking at 2nd and 14, as Mark mentioned. Ball at the 26 now. And the handoff, that's going nowhere. So I think you're going to start seeing, even if they do get some first downs, much more passing. 3.5 minutes remaining.
Jaden Ammons on the carry for the Warriors. Stopped by the Mustangs' Xavier Stevens. No gain on the play. Now 3rd and 14 coming up for the Warriors.
Who carried what number? 3rd and long. 3 minutes remaining. Riley drops back out of that one-back set, and it was incomplete. Was it intercepted? I believe so.
That was
Wekiva's walking off
Joshua
the field.
Bennett that got a hand on it, and yeah, it looks like the pass goes into the arms of Joshua Bennett.
Along the right sideline.
That is an interception at the 43-yard line. Wekiva takes over from there with 1st and 10, 2 minutes 55 remaining in the game. So now West Orange has 2 out of 3 of its timeouts remaining. So, of course, there's no 2-minute warning in high school football. So, ironically, only in flag football, not in tackle football. So, if this game is not over, Wekiva does need to pick up a first down here. They do not need to score. But, yeah, I think you're going to see Wekiva go to a fairly conservative play selection here. You're going to see him keep it on the ground, and you're going to see him try to avoid anything that's going to jeopardize their field position or their possession.
Ball at the West Orange 43 following Bennett's interception. The third turnover of the game will go along with the fumble that was recovered. Handoff, don't want to go out of bounds. That's Robinson. And unfortunately, he couldn't avoid it, but he did gain a first down.
Marion Robinson on the carry. He has got a Mustang first down.
And to quote Hank Stram, keep matriculating the ball down the field, 2:47 remaining.
Ball spotted at the 31-yard line, 1st and 10 Mustangs.
That's a 12-yard gain.
Yeah, and absolutely. I don't care if he goes out of bounds as long as he gets a first down, because a fresh set of downs is worth more than time.
So now Smith comes over, gets the instructions from Anthony Gay, the offensive coordinator. And yes, he is the Anthony Gay, number 2's father. And Smith running the offense now. If you joined us late, Davis was injured a couple of possessions ago. Smith unable to turn the corner. So Smith doing double duty. Of course, he is a cornerback.
Jari Smith on the carry, a loss of 4 on the play. 2nd and 14 coming up for the Mustangs from their Warriors' 35-yard line. So again, at least he stayed in bounds.
Clock keeps ticking,
clock
2:20.
keeps ticking. Yep.
West Orange is not going to use one of its timeouts. Again, 2 remaining.
No, and I like that decision. I don't think they need it yet.
2nd and 14. And yeah, West Orange, again, 2nd and 14. So you might not, that kind of tips the barometer towards not using the timeout. Wekiva has not changed the formation in terms of the receivers. They're still going with 4, but they have put an H-back in there. As Robinson takes the handoff, he tries that right side, escaped the first wave. Second wave, he goes down.
Marion Robinson on the carry.
And now West Orange uses one of its 2 remaining timeouts.
And we'll pause for a Warrior timeout. The Warriors request their 2nd timeout of the second half. That stops the clock with 1:36 remaining, as the Mustangs will be looking at 3rd and 14 after no gain on the play when we come back from the timeout.
So once again, thank you for joining us on this Thursday night. Thank you for sticking with us as we are now past 11 o'clock. It's been a long game. Of course, we started an hour late at 8 o'clock due to inclement weather, and then we had a situation midway through the 3rd quarter. Had an injury to Richard Polite, the senior wide receiver for West Orange. We had a couple of medical situations which required medical attention, one on each side of the field. We do hope everybody is okay. Everybody has recovered, and to use an old cliche, the situation looked worse than it actually was. The bottom line, though, now is if Wekiva can get one more first down, it's game, set, match. They hold a 12-9 lead, 1:36 remaining in this game. They are without Tyree Davis. Tyree Davis injured 2 games ago against Ocoee. He was unable to go last week. He did play this game until 2 possessions ago when he re-injured the leg on a sack. Jabari Smith doing double duty. He's also safety out of the shotgun with an H-back protecting him, and he's going to throw in out of bounds. Bennett was actually open, And Bennett's had a tremendous game, which I'll get to in a minute, but of course Smith threw that ball about 3 feet out of bounds. 1:29 remaining.
Pass falls incomplete, and that'll bring up
4th and 14.
4th and 14 coming up for Wekiva.
And we've seen this unusually high amount of time tonight, Mark. I'd probably say 5 or 6 times. You're in what you like to call, Mark, no man's land. By the way, I'm Neil Fisher. The mark I'm referring to
The
is
penalty
Mark
marker on
Varsity.
the play. Pass interference is called against the defense.
So
That'll be a 15-yard penalty from the previous spot, and it's enough for a Mustang first down.
And Mark,
Neil, I did not see that coming. I didn't think that was a
didn't
catchable
either.
pass.
I did not either. That's why I said I was actually going to say you're in no man's land. You can't really punt or kick.
Oh,
But-
and Neil, actually, my official sitting next to me, Julius Walker, just reminded me that this is another subtle difference in rules between high school and NFL, that in high school the pass does not have to be catchable to get a pass interference
okay.
call.
And there's a penalty. And, you know, that might just about seal the victory for Wekiva with only 1:29 remaining and West Orange one timeout.
False start called against the Mustangs. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. A replay of first down. So Wekiva gives back 5 yards, but again, what was really more important about that was the fresh set of downs more so
Yeah.
than the field position.
Now, I will say this, though, Mark, if they keep committing penalties, they're
Well,
not
yeah,
going to
that
that
stops
won't
the
do
clock
it
and moves them
game.
backwards. Yeah,
that
that's-
won't secure the game, that penalty, the West Orange penalty. So 1st and 15 at the West Orange 26, and I would be very surprised, and I think anybody who knows the slightest bit about football would say we're going to see 3 straight runs. That's Robinson.
Carry by Jamarian Robinson, and the Warriors will spend their final timeout of the second half. Minute 19 remaining, and the Mustangs have the ball headed toward the red zone, or actually in just at the edge of the red zone of Warrior territory, leading 12-9 with a $1:19 left on the clock. We'd like to remind you, if you're not already doing so, make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Wekiva Sports and bookmark WekivaMustangs.com.
So a 3-yard gain for Robinson. Puts the ball at the 23, but again, and you don't need a football guru. You're more concerned about just running the clock out, literally and figuratively. And obviously a 12-9 score. This has been defense first, defense oriented, and Wekiva's defense has certainly answered the bell. They gave up 34 points last week, and Coach Schwartz made the point that it wasn't that they played bad. They were inconsistent. They forced 3 turnovers. They even got a pick six. Josh Bennett, a 94-yard touchdown return. But for every one of those plays, along with several sacks, they also gave up 6 plays of at least 20 yards. Certainly not the case tonight. They stopped West Orange 3 times when the possession was taken on Wekiva's side of the field. They had on their last possession. They stopped West Orange, taking it over inside the 30-yard line. And now all the offense needs to do is run a couple more plays. Don't make any mistakes, starting with penalties. And that's Gay, and no mistakes there.
Handoff to Anthony Gay. That'll be a loss of 4 on the play. It'll bring up 3rd and 18 for the Mustangs from the Warriors' 28. So at this point, West Orange can no longer stop the clock. Those little yellow pips that you see at the bottom of your screen in the score bug, you see 3 of them below Wekiva. Wekiva has not used any timeouts. West Orange has burned up all 3 of theirs. So West Orange can no longer stop the clock. Obviously, Wekiva is going to burn up as much as they possibly can of the play clock. That probably takes them to right around
30 seconds.
About 30 seconds left. So they are going to have to run one more play. But
and
even
at
if it doesn't matter, they can get 4th down here. So
at
Wekiva
this
should be
point-
able to run this one out.
Yeah, you don't even really need to run the play. If you take a knee, which is what they do, that's Robinson, and that will do it. The last
Mustangs
20
take
seconds.
a knee, and that will take us to 4th down. Warriors out of timeouts, cannot stop the clock, and that will take us to the end of the ball game. 12-9, the final score here at Mustang Field on an evening that took us a little bit longer than perhaps we had originally thought, but as we head into the 11 o'clock hour, we appreciate your patience and you staying with us to support your Mustang and West Orange athletes. Again, make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Wekiva Sports, and bookmark WekivaMustangs.com for all of your scores, schedules, and more. Next week, the Mustangs will be home again. Once again, Wekiva, after having the preseason classic and the first 3 weeks of the regular season on the road, will be back at home 2 weeks in a row. And not only that, we also will be celebrating homecoming. So we invite you to join us for that. That's coming up a week from tomorrow, September 22nd, 7 o'clock kickoff. Get here early to help us celebrate the homecoming court. We will be live streaming that on YouTube and the NFHS network as well. We'll, of course, be live streaming our homecoming festivities, the game itself, homecoming crowning at halftime, and then, of course, our band performances won't be able to occur at halftime because of those festivities, but they will occur immediately after the game. So make sure you plan to attend that with us. Thanks again to everyone who participated in tonight's game. Of course, Coach Mark Washington and his entire broadcast crew who helped us to get this game on the air tonight. We also want to send an extra special shout out to our athletic training programs who certainly were kept busy tonight by all the activity. Thanks to our marching bands, our color guard, and everybody who helped to make tonight a great night. From all of us at Wekiva, thanks for joining us here in person at Mustang Field or online on YouTube or the NFHS network. We'll see you next week. And until then, good night from Mustang Field.